The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Good morning. Government looking at raising the age of consent for sex. Wayne Monroe apparently at odds with colleagues on the plea deal issue. Monroe regretting his reaction but doesn't take back the comments. And in our discussion, we are talking about bullying in school. It's all straight ahead this morning. I'm Dwight Strachan, and this is Morning Blend.
Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's here. It's the start of the end of the old way. Revolution. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning again, Bahamas. It is Monday, April 4th, 2022. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Again, I'm Dwight Strachan. In a moment, Pamela Musgrove will be joining us. But first, it's time for the overnight, the latest breaking news from while we're sleeping, and the top national and international headlines this morning. In the overnight, Cabinet is looking at raising the legal age of consent for sex from 16, according to Deputy Prime Minister Chester Cooper. Cooper saying, quote, the current discussion about the age of consent should be followed by action on the part of lawmakers. I've previously called for the legal age of consent to be increased to 18 years of age, and I stand by that today. This will further protect minors and make clear that children who cannot drink alcohol, join law enforcement, open a bank account, stand before a court as an adult, or vote, for example, cannot reasonably consent to sex with an adult. Any law that suggests otherwise is out of step with that, with what the vast majority of those whom the law is supposed to serve believe. I'm also for eliminating any ambiguity in the law with regard to teenage minors consenting to sex with adults. Once again, they cannot. Well, the age of consent for homosexual sex is already 18 in the Bahamas. Cooper making the statement in a Facebook post on Friday as his colleague, National Security Minister Wayne Monroe, came under fire in multiple circles for saying a day earlier that a 4-year sentence given to a man who impregnated a 14-year-old girl was too severe. Monroe said the perpetrator should have received a lesser sentence as part of the plea deal because the victim willingly had sex with him despite her being under the age of consent. On Friday, Social Services Minister Obi Wilshcombe was also asked whether the government plans to increase the age of consent to 18. Wilshcombe saying that he couldn't say that, but that it is being discussed and that they intend to have further discussions on the matter. Under the Sexual Offenses Act, anyone convicted of unlawful sexual intercourse with a person above 14 years of age and under 16 years of age, whether with or without consent of the person with whom he had unlawful sexual intercourse, is guilty of an offense and liable to imprisonment for life. However, Monroe, saying the typical sentence for rape is 7 years, he said a 4-year sentence for the less serious offense of unlawful sexual intercourse in the context of a plea deal was too stringent. Meanwhile, after Monroe's comments, Prime Minister Philip Davis taking a clear stance on the issue, saying the law should be enforced to the fullest extent. Davis saying in a tweet on Friday, quote, "Let's be clear, grown men should stay away from children. The law is designed to protect children who cannot meaningfully offer consent, and it should be enforced to the fullest extent." Police investigating murder in the country. A man who went to get his hair cut at a barber shop on Blue Hill Road was instead shot to death. This happened yesterday. The victim was inside the barber shop at the intersection of Blue Hill Road and Marshall Road when a gunman walked inside. The shooter fired at the victim and fled the scene. The victim, who was in his mid-20s, staggered outside the barber shop, walked down a flight of stairs, collapsed, and died. Police say they were alerted to the murder after 4 p.m. and appealed to anyone with information to contact them. And Health Minister Dr. Michael Darville says that the government will spend nearly $30 million on clinics throughout the country. He says the Ministry of Health and Wellness will be hiring 500 workers throughout the country in an effort to boost service capabilities. Overseas, Russia facing a fresh wave of condemnation today after evidence emerged of what appeared to be deliberate killings of civilians in Ukraine. Some Western leaders calling for further sanctions in response to the alleged atrocities, even as Moscow continued to press its offensive into the country's east. Germany's defense minister suggested the European Union discuss a ban on Russian gas imports, but more senior officials indicated an immediate boycott was not possible, a sign that leaders could struggle in the short term to ramp up already severe sanctions on Russia. Ukrainian officials said bodies of 410 civilians were found in towns around the capital of Kyiv. Those towns were captured or recaptured from Russian forces in recent days. In Bucha, northwest of the capital, Associated Press journalists saw 21 bodies, one group of 9, all in civilian clothes, scattered around a site that residents said Russian troops used as a base. They appeared to have been shot at close range. At least 2 had their hands tied behind their backs. The images of battered bodies lying in the streets or hastily dug graves, unleashing a wave of outrage that could signal a turning point in the nearly 6-week-old war. But sanctions have thus failed to halt the offensive, and rising energy prices, along with tight controls on Russian currency market, have blunted their impact, with the ruble rebounding strongly after initially crashing. Western and Ukrainian leaders have accused Russia of war crimes before, and the International Criminal Court's prosecutor has opened a probe to investigate the conflict. But the latest reports ratcheted up the condemnation even further, with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky saying some Western leaders also going so far as to accuse Russia of genocide. Meanwhile, Russia's defense ministry rejecting the accusations. It said photos and videos of dead bodies were staged by the Kyiv regime for the Western media. It said that not a single civilian in Bucha faced any violent military action. In sports, once again using the CRIFTA standards as a benchmark, the B3A is ratifying what they believe to be a very strong team for the Junior Regional Track and Field Championships, set to make a grand return after a 3-year hiatus. The 49th CRIFTA Games set for the Easter holiday weekend, April 16th through 18th in Jamaica. The B3A is ratifying a 54-member team looking to bring back regional prominence to the Bahamas through athletics. You can read all the names in today's Guardian Sports section. And the Commonwealth Bank Giants getting 29 points from Jackson Jacob as they stayed perfect on the season while advancing to the championship in the New Providence Basketball Association Division I. They breezed past the Breezes High Flyers 95-82 to win that semifinal 2-0 and move on to the championship. In Division 2 action, Your Essential Store Giants blowing out the Asphalt Maintenance Pirates 120-82 to win the semifinal series 2-0 as basketball action continued for the first time this weekend since the arrival of COVID in the country forced a stoppage back in March of 2020. Both closeout games played at the A.F. Adderley Gym on Saturday night after a 2-year hiatus. From NCAA women's basketball action, Dawn Staley hoisting the championship trophy high, strutting around the court and stopping for a brief victory dance. She handed over the hardware to South Carolina's student band and then headed back to midcourt for more merriment. The Gamecocks hitting all the right notes this season, and they finished with a masterpiece. Staley's team buttoned up on defense and dominated on the glass, beating UConn 64-49 Sunday night to end the Huskies' undefeated streak in title games. Destany Henderson scored a career-high 26 points. Aaliyah Boston added 11 points and 16 rebounds, and the Gamecocks handed Gino Auriemma's Huskies their first loss in 12 NCAA title games. A year ago, South Carolina lost in the Final Four when Boston missed a layup before the buzzer. With Staley calling the shots, South Carolina took UConn to school on the boards and capped a wire-to-wire run as the number one team in the country in the Associated Press poll. The Gamecocks also winning the championship in 2017. That's sports, and that's the overnight. Time for a first look at weather. In your weather for today, we've got a stationary frontal boundary near the northwest Bahamas. That's going to continue to progressively weaken while moving eastward. Boaters should be alert, though, for possible waterspout activity. For all areas today, your forecast calling for variably cloudy and very warm conditions with a chance of a few isolated showers and the slight chance of an isolated thunderstorm through tonight. Winds northeast to east at 10 to 15 knots in the northwest Bahamas, east-northeast to east-southeast at 10 knots or less in the central and southeastern islands. Seas 2 to 4 feet in the northwest Bahamas, but 3 feet or less in the central and southeastern islands. Temperature-wise today, we're looking at highs getting up to around 90 Fahrenheit, 32 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down about 73 Fahrenheit, 23 Celsius. That's your first look at weather this morning. We'll have your extended outlook coming up after traffic in just a bit.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
You're listening to Morning Blend. When we come back, we're discussing the day's top stories right here on your home for fresh news and smart talk all day. Guardian Radio 96.9.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Around the world, Cleveland Clinic is recognized as a leader in healthcare. Our team of experts relentlessly pursues the best for our patients. From groundbreaking cancer research to state-of-the-art heart surgery, life-saving innovations happen here every day. When it's time to travel for your health, it's time to travel to Cleveland Clinic. Your destination for care, for every care in the world. To learn more, visit clevelandclinic.org/Caribbean.
Technology serves to make our lives better, so why not your business too? At Custom Computers, we've been maintaining our knowledge and relationships with top tech companies since 1987 and carry only the most trusted brands like Apple, Microsoft, HP, and more. No company has helped more businesses build reliable IT systems than Custom Computers. You name it, we've done it. Call 396-1101 to talk to any of our business experts. Find trust in your tech. Count on Custom Computers.
Tired of banks forcing you to use technology to bank the way they want you to? Your convenience is important. So no matter what your banking needs, Commonwealth Bank's friendly staff are always available in branch for that personal one-on-one service. But when you choose technology, our online and mobile banking app offers you state-of-the-art functionality. The choice is yours. Commonwealth Bank. Bank the way you want.
Know what sound that is? That's an office. Now how about this? That's the doorbell to your new home. But what if we told you both sounds are in the same place? That's right, because if you start or switch to an RBC mortgage, you could win a $3,000 US gift card to create or upgrade your home office. Pre-qualify to see what you can afford. Start or switch at rbc.com/Caribbean/mortgages and win your way to a $3,000 US gift card today. Valid until April 30th, 2022.
Guardian Radio 96.9 celebrates 10 years as the country's first ever and only all-news talk radio station.
Guardian Radio.
Guardian Radio.
Guardian 96.9 FM.
Come, join Guardian Radio 96.9 in this wonderful celebration of 10 years on the air by placing your ad in the Nassau Guardian's special anniversary tabloid publication.
Guardian Radio 96.9.
We have fantastic anniversary rates just for this occasion. Imagine full, half, and quarter page ads in color or black and white at the lowest rates ever.
And you're listening to 96.9 Guardian Talk Radio.
And you can get 10 radio spots between April 11th and 15th for only $302. Prices include VAT. Call your account executive today at 302-2300, 302-2300, and get your ad in by Wednesday, April 6th. Come, celebrate with Guardian Radio 96.9. 10 years of fresh news, smart talk, all day.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day. It's the start of a new way. You know that it's the start of the end of the old way. Revolution. Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for your smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at MorningBlend969 or Facebook.com/MorningBlend969. Text us 422-4796 on the Guardian Radio text line powered by BTC, 422-4796. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan. Joining me in a moment, Pamela Musgrove. You can phone in. We'll give you the phone numbers to call in. In fact, let me do that right now. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. Is that, yeah, I don't know why there would be a caller already because we haven't even started the show. It's very surprising, but anyway, okay, caller. Coming up this morning, we've got more weather and traffic and business news in our 9 o'clock hour. Coming up in just a bit, we're going to be talking about school bullying. Did you hear the little girl who got to meet the Duchess of Cambridge, Kate, when she got off the plane, when she landed in Nassau? Afterwards, she was interviewed, and she said that the students won't be able, after this, after meeting, the future queen, that her students won't be able to bully her anymore. That was picked up by the international media. I mean, there were stories all over, the British tabloids especially. We didn't talk about it here. Why is that? Anyway, we're going to talk about school bullying. We know it's a problem. It's been a problem. It continues to be a problem. It might even be worse than before. And we're going to get into all of that this morning. So a lot to get to on this Monday morning. Let's begin, though, with what's in the news. In the news, government looking at raising the age of consent for sex. It's the headlines in all the papers today, and quite a few of the members of parliament and cabinet ministers even talking about this, supporting this idea, and have a lot to say about it. We're going to get into all of it. I want you to listen to this piece, though, from our Tashina Robinson.
The age of consent is being reviewed by Cabinet, according to Minister of Social Services, Obi Wilshcombe. Wilshcombe says the laws on consent are inconsistent and legislation should be coming by summer.
And the numbers that we're looking at, the Attorney General's office now is addressing the inconsistencies because we have from 10 years old, a child can be charged as an adult for a crime, depending on the circumstances. Then you have a 14-year-old, and then it's 16, then it's 18. So we have a lot of inconsistencies. So we're working on that now. And
the age of sexual consent is 16 for heterosexual relationships and 18 for same-sex relations. Wilshcombe was asked if it would be moved to 18 across the board.
I can't say that. I know it's being discussed, and we intend to have further discussions before we arrive at the final decision.
And do you think that you'll get support for that?
By whom?
By
big cabinet?
Yeah, cabinet support.
Well, the Attorney General is leading the discussion. We've sent in a document, we sent in our proposals, and because we saw the inconsistencies when we came to office, and he's addressing them all. Yeah.
Anne-Marie Davis, wife of Prime Minister Philip Davis, also weighed in.
That is something to be looked at. Some think it should be raised to 18 because that is the age where that we can vote. And I think that's the age, something to do with having to give consent for contraception, the use of contraception. I think we have to look at all of these matters together to decide what is the best age for sexual consent, when it should stay at 16 or go to 18.
Our Tashina Robinson with that report there. In today's NASA Guardian, we have a lot from Deputy Prime Minister Chester Cooper, who had quite a lot to say on a post over the weekend, a Facebook post on Friday. Here's what Chester Cooper had to say, quote, "The current discussion about the age of consent should be followed by action on the part of lawmakers. I've previously called for the legal age of consent to be increased to 18 years of age, and I stand by that today. This will further protect minors and make clear that children who cannot drink alcohol, join law enforcement, open a bank account, stand before a court as an adult, or vote, for example, cannot reasonably consent to sex with an adult. Any law that suggests otherwise is out of step with what the vast majority of those whom the law is supposed to serve believe. I am also for eliminating any ambiguity in the law with regard to teenage minors consenting to sex with adults. Once again, they cannot. Laws must change as the values of society evolve and mature. Cabinet is considering measures to bring about these changes, and they are long overdue." So, this is all coming about after what happened last week. First with the Director of Public Prosecutions, his comments when asked to explain why a sentence for a 40-year-old man who impregnated a 14-year-old girl, why it was only 4 years in prison. And then Wayne Monroe, the National Security Minister, his comments, which took things to a totally different level on so many levels, to explain and to back up, I guess, but he made it possibly worse. What the DPP was saying. Monroe saying that the sentence was too severe and that had he been the man's lawyer, he would have argued for even less time. So let's get your views on it, folks. Everybody's talking about it, and this is not the first time. Others have said it. Activists have been saying it for a while. But let's talk about it, the pros and the cons of this. Raising the age of consent to 18. What say you on this? 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. Okay, let's go to the phone lines. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, and God bless you, Dwight.
Hi, good morning.
And God bless to Pamela and to the Bahamas. I definitely want to contribute to your topic this morning, but I have a quick question for you. have you guys ever had the commissioner of the Art and Cultural Commission on your show? That was newly appointed a few weeks ago under the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture.
No, not as yet. Not the current one, no.
Yeah, I would appreciate if you guys can consider having that lady on sometime, because I had an experience this past weekend that is bringing tears to my eyes at the Bahamian, something that I'm sick and tired of, but of course I'll talk about it another time.
Wow.
I just wanted to...
You sure you don't want to tell us a little bit about that? That's a...
No, I'm going to talk about your topic this morning.
I mean, I kind of want to hear what happened to you.
Well, let me just quickly say this. I was out doing some shopping. Somebody took me out on the weekend. Like I told you last week, Dwight, I'm a musician. I don't talk about it much, but I'm a trained musician.
Mm-hmm.
But most of all, and most importantly, I'm a Bahamian. Dwight, I am sick and tired of hearing reggae everywhere I go. As a Bahamian of almost 59 years of age, loving this country as I do, knowing how beautiful our own music is, man. You can't go to the food store. You can't go on fish fry. You can't go nowhere without hearing these non-Bahamian sounds. People playing them in their personal cars and in their homes. That's one thing. But my God, this is the Bahamas, man. Wait.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually near tears on this one. I had to scream out and yell. I don't know who would have heard me or not, but it bothers me, man. That we ain't got no more respect or no regard for the fact that we are Bahamians, man. That bothers me. Okay? And getting back to your topic here. I support the idea and the ideal that the age of consent ought to be 18 across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me point something out to you, and I invite you guys to research this. And I stand to be corrected on it, because I mean no offense by saying this. But Dwight, between 1990 and 1992, shortly before the pending administration got voted out of office, I can clearly remember that the PLP administration at the time is the one that lowered the age of consent from 18 to 16. And when I heard that, it bothered me so much, particularly because at that time I did not hear no outcry from the Christian community. No outcry on the age of consent having been lowered back then from hardly any other quarter of the community. Rightly so, Bahamians are rightly upset over the comments that Wayne Monroe made last week and the mistaken position that the Director of Public Prosecutions put forth. We are rightly upset. But my God, man, what evil can there be to have the age of consent in the penal code, as Wayne Monroe would have said, I understand, to be 7? What sick minds, Dwight, could ever have in civil law things that are so cursedly contrary to God's moral law? I am very upset this morning as a Bahamian, both as a Bahamian and as a morally thinking, common sense Bahamian.
Okay.
These two issues have me very, very upset, and I pray God, thank God for Chester Cooper and his constant, in my opinion, constant view in terms of wanting to do the right thing in this country, because he seems to be the only one who's persistently and consistently causing for things to be morally properly done in this country. Prominently now, not the only one or only, absolutely, but constantly. So I take my hats off them, and I don't support the FNM nor the PLP, so I ain't talking in that context. I'm just talking as one Bahamian to the other.
Okay.
Thank
JT,
you, man.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right. Interesting points there. Let's get this call. What's your perspective on this? Good morning.
Good morning, Glenn.
Hi.
From one Bahamian to another Bahamian, yes, it's good to be upset, and we're all talking. We're talking about it first. But does it make sense to that younger person that urge comes on? What do? They must be educated. They must be trained. they also must be loved. You know, I'm not suggesting that they should have sex at an early age, anything like that. But we've got to teach them. We've got to train them. There is a discipline, okay? And you know, they look forward to coming out of school and getting a car, a piece of property. Well, first of all, they look for a job, okay? And what I'm talking about is national service, okay? That comes into play because all of that discipline is taught just like that, okay? You spoke earlier about Jamaican reggae music. It is true that it plays every day, all day, everywhere, okay? It's Caribbean music, but it's not our music. The merengue, the calypso, or what Mama and Papa does playing Carolyn again?
Rake and Scrape.
Right, Rake and Scrape. If you would go, for example, if that was to be played in the front of the Queen, and she condones it, and then sends that person back here, and it becomes international and popular, sure. Okay, you would feel much better, but you're tired of hearing reggae. Well, our music is not that popular. We need our artists to go and do the same thing Bob Marley did, or do it differently. You know. Thanks for letting me share, man.
Okay, all right, thanks a lot. Let's see if we can take that call. Caller. Good morning. Hi, good morning.
Okay. Need justice for all in this country, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, but before I make my point, right? People talked about I'm not PLP or FNM. Let's get that straight. But what Wayne Monroe was drawing an illustration pertaining to the law. He understood what the law is saying, and that's all he was saying. And some people were beating up on him. They should understand what he was saying, and they should understand the law. He was drawing an illustration, and that was plain. But what I want to say...
Well, before you go on, I mean, the issue is who he is now, right? And who he is now. He is now the National Security Minister. And we don't expect to hear the National Security Minister speaking in that manner, right? The
it's immaterial because...
No, it's very important. I mean, there are a lot of things that you know as a former lawyer, but you don't come on and have a class on how to get around what criminals should do. And if I were representing, I'm not talking about sometimes it's best not to speak.
I'm not speaking of that portion. I'm speaking about when he was describing the age.
Yeah.
But anyhow, what I want to say is, right, knowing that they're going to change the law from 16 to 18, right?
Well, we don't know that yet.
Okay, if they do.
Mm-hmm.
You have, like one gentleman said, that the youngsters need to be educated, and that's what government are not doing. They're not educating the public. Other thing is, right, they have youngsters driving
I don't think that's
16,
true,
17.
though.
What they're going to do is situational such. When young men and women believe they reach to the mature age, they're going to do what they want to do. And you can't deprive them. You should not deprive them from situations in which they so desire.
There you go. Thank you very much. That's the first person to bring it up, right? So that's the issue. That's one of the cons of raising the consensual age, the age of consensual sex to 18. What happens to the teenagers, right? We're trying to protect young people from older predators, but what about their own ages? Do you risk having someone listed as a sex offender at 17 or 16, right? What happens there? And will there have to be some special consideration made for that? Pamela Musgrove, what are your views on that? Let's get your mic up there. Good, Pam. Yep. Okay, there we go.
Good morning, Dwight, and good morning, Bahamas.
Hey.
First of all, I think these are two separate issues.
Mm-hmm.
I think this raising the age just seemed to me to be a smokescreen.
Yeah.
For what happened, because
or a reaction to that.
Yeah, because what happened to a 14-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
So raising the age of consent has nothing to do with what happened to that 14-year-old.
That's an interesting point.
Right? And then two, fine, if you want to raise the age of consent, I think you should also increase the penalty for perpetrators. See? So I just think we have to look at it in its totality and not just react to what is happening. And so that means all of those older men that are going now with 17-year-olds and 16-year-olds.
And apparently 14-year-olds.
Yeah, they will suffer a stiffer consequence for their actions.
Yeah. Hey, boy, that's an interesting point there. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Caller, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi.
Good morning.
Interesting discussion. I agree with Baum, this knee-jerk reaction we always have. First and foremost, as far as raising the penalty is already, you are liable to life in prison. So when you go before the courts, what a lot of people don't realize is that the courts don't only look at the law, they get probationary report on the person who are convicted of these crimes. They look at case law, at what rulings have already happened over the years, even going back to sometimes they go back hundreds of years to get case law, both the defense and the prosecution could do it under courts. So it ain't just change the law and everything will be hunky-dory. Because when you get before the courts just don't operate on what actually the law say. They also operate on the intent of the law. Does the person need to be put away for 30, 40 years? Is there an opportunity for them to be rehabilitated? All that stuff has come up in the courts as people who pay attention to the courts, not only in the Bahamas, but most democracies. So we always looking to attack. The majority of people don't even read the law because the law already gives the court the ability to give somebody life in prison for these offenses. But, like I said, the court don't only just look at what the law say. They look at the evidence that comes before them. And a lot of people upset about this word consent. Irrespective if you put the age to 18, the persons who are there and engage in activity, if the young person say, yes, I want to do this with that person, ain't nobody there to stop them from doing it. So did they give consent or they didn't give consent? The law already declares that it's unlawful with consent or without consent. Because ain't nobody will be there besides probably the two persons, then these acts going to take place. So if the person say, yes, I want to do it, that still doesn't make it right, and that's already part of the law. It's unlawful once it's found out. We have these things going on every day. And then it don't be found out.
Yeah.
So putting it to 18, that's still to stop the person from saying, yes, I want to do it. And at the end of the day, even though they say they want to do it, it still is going to be unlawful once it's found out. Now, if it isn't found out, what we could do? 18 ain't going to make a difference.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
And I agree with the caller. It's consent. So what the age of consent means, under that age, right? It doesn't matter if the person say, yes, I want to do this. You basically rape them. They have no authority to give you consent to have sex. It doesn't matter the way they were dressed and they invited you. You rape them because they have no authority. I served as a juror many years ago. And there was this sexual assault case, an older family member on a very young child.
Oh, boy.
And I learned from that, which I thought was really weird, that you would have to be convicted of rape 3 times to get the life penalty. The first time, if you are convicted, it's 7 years. And I think if you do it again, it's 14. And then if you do it a third time, then it's life. So I can somewhat understand what happened there with the circumstances with this case. It's 4 years because it was a plea bargain. Now, I watched in the past a lot of Law and Order, so I am not clueless about plea bargains. And I remember this because this law came up in the last few years. And I thought to myself, plea bargaining
right,
here.
because we weren't.
And I thought to myself, I said, wow, I wonder how that's going to work because we don't admit to doing nothing. Even if you see the person doing something, they'll tell you, I didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I always wondered how that would work in our jurisdiction. And I think this is one of the cases where it worked.
It's been quite a few this in the last few months. We've been seeing the results.
And with this case, the young lady was pregnant. And so the guy could lie as much as he wanted. All they had to do was a DNA test. And he would have been, it would have proved that it was in fact his child. And he went with a minor who could not have given him consent.
Right.
So he was guilty. So it's just the plea bargaining. From what I've learned, it's to save the taxpayers' money or to save the government money by going through this trial. So you agree that you did something wrong, and we just plead down to a lesser sentence.
Yeah. Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Dwight, and good morning to you again.
Hi.
Good morning.
Dwight, I raised the issue on your show, and your attorney indicated that the law has changed, so it was no more 7-year first time, 14 years. He said that the penalty is life. That's what it is. And if that's basically what it is, we need to remove all of the gray shades in our laws. And if it is life, I believe it's going to be a plea bargain situation. It should start at 20. It should start at 20 years because, right, we need to look at this thing for what it is. There's no known cure for pedophiles. That's the proven fact. If there's no known cure for this sickness, what is the immediate rush to get these people back onto our streets? This is my concern. And then we don't have a sex registration system in the Bahamas. So what's the rush to get these people back onto our streets? And the penalty, we need a holistic overhaul of all laws in this country as relates to protecting children. We need to protect them from the day of procreation straight up to the age of 18, because we all know that whatever stage a pregnant woman is at, if she is murdered, the unborn child life doesn't count. We need to look at that too. We need to change it and say, look, if you murder a pregnant woman, irrespective of how advanced she was in her pregnancy, that unborn child life counts. And it should be charged. You should be charged for double murder. That's basically what we're looking at.
Okay.
We need to look also at our domestic laws as relates to treaties that we signed on to. This is 2022, Dwight. And as a father's rights activist, I'm being inundated with situations where fathers are being denied in law their parental rights in respect to what we signed. I mean, why can't we have shared common responsibility in this country? If we had shared common responsibility in this country, perhaps Bella would have been alive today. I mean, why should a father have to get permission in this day and time once he has been a judge, the punitive father? Why should he have to get a letter from the mother to pick up a passport, to apply for a passport for his child? All of these things we need to look at and correct these wrongs so we can have a better society. Because we know children who are sexually abused or who are abused, they are very likely to end up in prison. So we got to come together and correct all of these wrongs and remove all the shades of gray so we can be clear and we can be concise. If you play around a minor, you're going to get life imprisonment, and if there's a situation with a plea bargain deal, you're going to start at 20 to 25 years. That's how it should work in a sensible society.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
I'm looking at a statement made by the Minister of National Security, and point 3 in that statement, he said sentence length for the offense in question are established by the Bahamas Court of Appeal. For a first-time offender, the sentence is 7 years if the young lady does not consent. Okay, if a young lady does not consent to having sex with a man, what is that?
That is rape.
Okay. And 4 years if the young lady does consent. This is in the statement that the Minister of National Security sent out a couple of days ago.
Right. Let's take this call, and then we got to take a break. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Caller, good morning.
Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Dwight, I was misunderstood last week by you and the gentleman that. Now, my thing is that what Wayne Monroe was speaking to was the law, right? And my thing is, and I understand your discussion, but I understand that the discussion now is the limit of age consent. And I agree that it should be 18. I agree. But my thing is this. When we change the age, and mind you, I said I agree. When we change the age, I want you to listen to what I'm trying to say. When you change the age to 18, then you're creating, a whole nother field, whereas you're going to have more people who are going to be out there, these young people who is dressing inappropriately, who is fixing up themselves like adults, who is getting fake IDs and all of that type of stuff. What are we going to do about those people? Are we going to just keep telling them?
Who are those people, male or female? Who are those people?
Female. I'm talking about females.
Okay, okay. You're blaming the female. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some of them are very promiscuous.
Oh, my
they
goodness.
dress like adults.
What did we misunderstand last week? Because this is what you said last week, and you said that they should be put in jumpsuits and on the street so everyone can see them. That was very clear what you said.
Okay, what are you going to do, Dwight, about these people that is doing this, which is basically entrapping these men?
Is it?
Okay, come on, Dwight. Seriously.
It's not.
Not the entrapment.
They have the right to dress the way they want to dress.
They have the right, yes. Okay. But come on, Dwight. You cannot tell these
How about
people that-
older men being more responsible?
Listen,
How about that?
How about us fixing the law and stiffening the penalty? If it is life in prison for having sex with an underage minor, then do it as life in prison. Because a man at the age of 40 should know better. Come on, the child came to you in a school uniform. You should know better. I have no remorse for you. Whether you get 100 years, life in prison, or whatever have you. Because you're 40 years old. The child came to you in a school uniform. I mean, come on. I mean, this thing goes for 10. But still, on top of that, you cannot tell a 14-year-old who has good sense that, listen, you should not, you should not be punished for enticing and going to that man's house and doing it. It's not, there should be some form of
I think the
punishment.
pregnancy is punishment enough. But again, what do you want? You're still sticking to the jumpsuit on the side of the road thing?
What I'm saying, Dwight, it isn't about what I want. And I'm saying that the country at large, the government, has to sit down and decide what are we going to do about these children who are conducting themselves.
You
in
think it's
that
going to be a
manner.
ball of roses, a bed of roses for her after this? I mean, my goodness, this is her life is not going to be easy at all. Not going to be easy at all.
Okay,
And the operative word is said, what are we going to do with these children? Children. The adults should know that they are children. And they
What about
should
the
treat
young
them
ladies
accordingly.
that come behind this young lady
You've got to
now?
educate, as someone said earlier, right? You've got to teach them. We have a lot of work to do on every level here. I don't understand. What do you want? You want to put her in jail too? For being a vixen, Pam. We'll be back. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9.
To reach down inside, you can seize the world. You can seize the world. You can seize the world. The little kid in the mirror who dreams of a life that's bigger. Don't be afraid to just try. You never know where life will take you. You're just a moment from your debut. It's only a matter of time.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
time for your first look at traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. And in your real-time traffic, Milo Butler Highway, as usual, the heavy traffic from Fire Trail all the way up to Tonic Williams Darling Highway, heavy congestion there in the northbound lanes. Your alternate routes also looking busy for you. Gladstone Road, just north of Fire Trail, heavy traffic in the northbound lane there. And Blue Hill Road looking busy from St. Vincent Road all the way up to the Independence Drive roundabout, especially north of Soldier Road. We've got building traffic on Carmichael eastbound and westbound to Coral Harbor Road, eastbound to Blue Hill Road, and then we've got the traffic building on Prince Charles Drive at pockets, especially near Elizabeth Estates and near the Fox Hill Road intersection and near Beatrice Avenue, and Eastern Road just east of San Souci Road all the way up to Johnson Road. You're going to be seeing there. You're going to be sitting in traffic there, westbound. East Street between Soldier and the Independence Drive East-West Highway roundabout also busy for you northbound. Those are your hot spots. That's your real-time traffic and your morning blend traffic alert brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. And time for another check of weather for today, brought to you by the Ministry of Health and the Pan American Health Organization. A stationary frontal boundary. Oh my goodness. A stationary frontal boundary near the northwest Bahamas will continue to progressively weaken while moving eastward. Boaters should remain vigilant for possible waterspout activity. For all areas today, forecast calls for variably cloudy and very warm conditions with the chance of a few isolated showers and the slight chance of an isolated thunderstorm through tonight. Temperatures getting up to around 90 Fahrenheit, 32 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down about 73 Fahrenheit, 23 Celsius. In your extended outlook, that frontal boundary will continue to weaken while retreating northeastward. High-pressure ridging will build in through midweek. So for tomorrow, Tuesday, partly sunny, warm and breezy with a few stray showers, becoming mostly fair at night. Wednesday, partly sunny, warm and breezy with the chance of a light passing shower, becoming mostly fair at night. That's your morning blend weather check brought to you by the Ministry of Health and the Pan American Health Organization, reminding you that COVID-19 vaccines and boosters are safe, effective, and protect you against getting seriously ill, being hospitalized, and dying from COVID-19 virus. The vaccine offers the best protection against COVID when combined with physical distancing, hand washing, or sanitizing, and wearing your face masks properly. Visit vax.gov.bs to book an appointment or simply walk into any of their locations. We'll be back with more Morning Blend after these messages here on Guardian Radio 96.9.
How important collecting your money can be to the success of your business. Start your relationship with Fidelity today so that we can show you the many options available to you with our merchant services. From click and pay options online to merchant terminals and e-commerce options. We're here to help your business succeed. For more details, speak to one of our business development officers at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport. Visit our website at fidelitygroup.com or visit any of our branches.
Wherever you're headed, the Custom Computers Know-How team is standing by to help guide you in the East and the West. We now have 2 convenient locations on Patton Street in Palmdale and our newest store in the Caves Village Shopping Plaza through the Blake Road entrance. Discover the latest products by top international brands and the knowledge you need to unleash tomorrow's technology today. Drop by Custom Computers out east or out west. We're open Saturdays from 10 till 4.
Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Street, has those hard-to-find fasteners for you right now. You can find stainless steel regular hex, carriage bolts, galvanized bolts, threaded rods, nails, self-tap screws, sex bolts, anchor bolts, turnbuckles, masonry tools, hand tools, and weed whacker strings. Check out the rope selection and car body fasteners too. Special orders are welcome. It's your #1 fastener store. Screws and Fasteners World, Balfour Avenue and Palm Beach Streets. Call 326-1976.
It's over 5 years we've been here. Time to review our options.
CIBC First Caribbean. Home ownership is a big deal, so move on merrily with CIBC First Caribbean. Switch your mortgage, and you'll get half off the appraisal cost, commitment fee, and more. Enjoy up to US $10,000 toward your switching cost.
A peaceful rest. Glad we moved to CIBC First Caribbean.
Merrily.
Terms and conditions apply. Visit CIBCFCIB.com/move merrily for details.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
Let Wendy's heat up your morning. Wake up with our new Hot Honey Chicken Biscuit that is forged in flavor and made fresh every morning just for you. Forged from a fusion of sweet honey and spicy heat. Wendy's new Hot Honey Chicken Biscuit is our breaded premium all-white chicken breast topped with habanero honey, served on a fresh-baked buttermilk biscuit. It offers the perfect balance of sweet heat. Better mornings always start at Wendy's.
I'm sipping wine in a robe. I look too good to be alone. My house clean, my pool warm. Just shake smooth like a newborn. We should be dancing, romancing in the east wing and the west wing of this mansion. What's happening? I ain't playing no games. Every word that I say is coming straight from the heart. So if you're trying to lay in these arms, I'ma leave the door open. I'ma leave the door open. I'ma leave the door open, girl. I'ma leave the door open, open. Let you feel the way I feel, and you want me like I want you tonight, baby. Tell me that you're coming through.
We are back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Pamela Musgrove. Hey, that was named Record of the Year at the Grammys last year. Okay. I mean, last night, for Song of the Year, Record of the Year. And we certainly have played that quite often on the show. But, wonderful stuff. All right, so let's get back to your messages about this. Coming up in a few minutes, we're going to be talking about school bullying. And another one of the problems we have in the country that we don't talk about enough. But maybe we should, especially after it was brought to light internationally during the visit of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. And, we'll get to that in just a bit. Some of your messages here on what we've been talking about, raising the age of consent. Let's see what folks are saying on our text line, and you can continue to text us or tweet us and Facebook us. Text 422-4796. This text here, Dwight, any man who opposes this from any point of view is a closet rapist. Well, I think that's a bit extreme, but okay. But there are going to be pros and cons to this. And I think Pam made a great point that even in this situation that brought this to light, renewed this discussion, that wouldn't have made any difference here at all.
And we have so much teen pregnancy. And I'm sure this is not the only 14-year-old that's pregnant. Mm-hmm. What have we done in the past with those cases? The law is on the book for under 16. So that means anybody who was impregnated at 15 or under in this country, the perpetrator should be in jail or out after serving their time. Mm. If we were serious or are serious.
This person says here, the Minister of National Security said they noticed the inconsistencies in the age when they came into office. I promise you, if the rapist wasn't sentenced and Wayne Monroe didn't open his mouth, Obi, the entire cabinet, and the Prime Minister would not even think about this issue. Well, Okay. This one says here, I say 18 years for consent. Children should not be in school and giving consent to sex. Mr. Monroe, with his foolish speeches, needs to go. Children should not be in school. So you're saying, okay, but then there are some children who graduate well under 18. So what happens there?
If you're under 18, you should not be having
you're already
sex.
in college.
You should not be having sex. And
Already
anybody
working.
who is and it is found out should be in jail.
Okay. This one says here, do you know that the parents of these young girls know what they are doing? You got to say some, right? So sometimes that does happen. Yes. Sometimes the parents don't know. Sometimes they do know. So it's not going to be across the board. But anyway, let me continue to read your text. But they act like they don't know. The man should be at fault because of his age, but it happens all the time. There was a post on Facebook about sometime last year with a granddaddy taking pictures with a young girl staring in his face. These girls know just what they're doing, and the older men should be sentenced because he should know better. Money is at the root of all evil. That's what it is. And, I think that's what the deputy, I keep saying that, the DPP, the Director of Public Prosecutions, was hinting at, right? That this is often, and I don't think he meant every time, but often it is condoned by the family, sanctioned by the family, encouraged by the family. Sometimes, but sometimes no. All right. This person says here, every criminal knows to plead not guilty because you're innocent until proven guilty. I don't know why you sent that.
I think maybe in response to my statement about plea bargaining. Yeah. And person's not admitting.
Well, when they tell you they have the camera footage, they have witnesses, they
Yeah.
have all these people,
Yeah.
what are you going to do? Like, okay. This one says here, Dwight, that should have been raised decades ago. Could you imagine your 15 or 16-year-old daughter coming to you saying that she's pregnant and can't possibly, I don't know what the other word is here supposed to be. Hey, it happens all the time. But some people freak out if their 19-year-old daughter comes to them and says they're pregnant. So, yeah. But you think that's going to mean they won't be having sex if you raise the age of consent?
No, I mean, maybe that's what they're attempting to do because of what the statement that the DPP said about us being young persons being highly sexual.
Okay.
But I don't think it will.
Stop
it.
Caller, we'll get to you in a second. This texter says, the one thing this country needs is more expert, competent people speaking on the deficiencies or loopholes in the area of their expertise. If Wayne Monroe shows us, based on his expertise, some loophole in the system, the last thing we should tell him is to shut up. The progressive approach should have been, is that how it works? Okay, how do we fix it? Well, that's what he should have said.
Yeah, he should have gone to cabinet and tell them, okay,
Right.
this is a loophole. Let's fix it.
Right,
Let's close it. And when
'cause all he did was tell people
Yeah.
who've been charged what to do. But anyway, to me, the reaction to the comments were completely wrong. Texter, he is not just an expert anymore. He's a cabinet minister in the Commonwealth
he's a
of the
lawmaker.
Bahamas.
So if there are deficiencies in the law, he should have communicated that with his parliamentary team. And then when he came to speak in the public, he should acknowledge it and say, we're going to fix it.
Yeah, and he was always doing that before he got to this post. But now he's wearing a different hat entirely, and we don't expect him to be doing some of those things. That's not his role anymore. This text just says Pam is 100% correct. Okay, that was sent at 7:25. I'm not sure what you were talking about at that time, but you are 100% correct, Pam.
Thank you, Texter.
Okay, maybe that's just a general statement all the time.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
This one says here, the bigger point that most people missed from the statement from the Minister of National Security is that he has been advising that person, that had he been advising that person, he would have advised that he plead not guilty. He went further by saying that he would then face these charges 4, 5, 6, or even 7 years later. This tells me that either we have such a huge backlog of this, or this is deliberate by these attorneys. For me, that's the thing that stands out. There's a whole lot of things that stand out there. And, oh boy.
I think this situation is so serious, and a lot of people are not aware. I know of several years back a situation where someone under the age was sexually active with an older person. Social services to police, all of them got involved, but nothing happened. Just went on.
Yep. This text here, I can't believe that you guys are talking Monroe's comments again today. Since Wayne said what he said, since Wayne said what he would have done as a defense lawyer, then the government just needs to change the law to close the loophole that Wayne talked about. Simple as that. SMT. Well, when is that going to happen? Yeah.
Well, see, and that's what should have happened out of all of this. Changing the loophole, right? But then we're talking about increasing the age of consent, which you can do if the majority of Bahamians want that. That's fine. I have no problems with that. But that still doesn't address what happened initially.
Yep, and won't fix that loophole.
Yeah.
What you should be talking about, all right, is the status of the case regarding shanty towns in the Bahamas. When is the judge going to rule on that? I'm patiently awaiting. Well, we all are. What else do you think we should be talking about? Send us a list and tell us what we shouldn't waste our time talking about. Let us know what's important to you. Thank you. This one says here, perhaps we should pass a law that says you can only have sex with someone with a certain age range of your age, within a certain age range of your age. Why does it matter if I was 40 or 20? Well, that's not the issue. But people are a little more disgusted by the fact that he's 40.
Because they're expecting that a 40-year-old will be mature and would know that you should not be with a 14-year-old.
Well in father age range there. And so that's the issue. But what you're saying? You mean for minors? Is that what you mean? A certain age range for minors, or just for everybody in general? Okay. You want to squeeze this in really quickly? Let's do that. Really quickly, caller, you have 1 minute. Are you there? Did you go? No? Okay. This text here. Wasn't the young lady arrested in school uniform, so did the man not know to send her home or school? What? Was that? What? Okay. Another one here. They should have a standard sentence for people that rape. But again, people got offended by this last week when Wayne Monroe and others are trying to point out that this is consensual sex with a minor is different from rape. Both crimes, but different.
I think that's based on the evidence before the judge and her ruling. She may take she may take that into consideration. But once you're under the age of consent, it is deemed that you cannot.
Right.
You cannot approve to it.
Yeah.
But now the judge would look at the circumstances and say, okay, make a decision based on that.
Yeah. We'll take a break. When we come back, we're talking about school bullying. You don't want to miss that discussion. That's after the news. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Welcome back to Morning Blend here on Guardian Radio 96.9. We are streaming live on GuardianTalkRadio.com and on the Guardian Radio app for smart devices. We're also on your televisions on Cable Bahamas Channel 969 and BTC Flow Channel 612. You can tweet us at Morning Blend 969 or Facebook.com/Morning Blend 969. Text us on the Guardian Radio text line powered by BTC 4224796. Standard text rates apply. And now, day 23, time for another check of your weather for today, brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. Here's what's happening. We've got a stationary frontal boundary near the northwest Bahamas that's going to continue to progressively weaken while moving eastward. Boaters should be alert for possible waterspout activity. For all areas today, forecast calls for variably cloudy and very warm conditions with a chance of a few isolated showers and a slight chance of an isolated thunderstorm through tonight. Temperatures getting up to around 90 Fahrenheit, 32 Celsius. Overnight lows tonight getting down about 73 Fahrenheit, 23 Celsius. In your extended outlook, that frontal boundary will continue to weaken while retreating northeastward. High pressure ridging will build in through midweek. So for tomorrow, Tuesday, partly sunny, warm and breezy with a few stray showers, becoming mostly fair at night. Winds east to southeast at 15 to 20 knots. For Wednesday, partly sunny, warm and breezy with a chance of a light passing shower, becoming mostly fair at night. Winds getting up to gusty at times in the northwest Bahamas. That's your Morning Blend weather check brought to you by Bahamas First Insurance. What's first for you comes first for us. And time for another check of the traffic for this morning, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank. In your real-time traffic, we're seeing some heavy traffic at the six-legged roundabout, northbound to the roundabout and eastbound. That's on JFK, southbound on New Providence Highway as well. Further south, Milo Butler Highway, northbound, still busy for you, just north of Fire Trail, and heading up to that intersection, the roundabout with Tony Williams-Darling Highway, that's backed up as well, westbound mainly, and eastbound, heading toward the roundabout. Glasson Road also busy just north of Fire Trail in the northbound lane. Elsewhere, heavy traffic on Independence Drive, especially eastbound this morning between, of course, Blue Hill Road and East Street. Westbound also backed up a bit. Blue Hill Road also busy near Carmichael and just north of Soldier Road on the way to the roundabout with Independence Drive. East Street seeing some heavy traffic at the intersection with Robinson Road and near the roundabout with East-West Highway and between the roundabout and Soldier Road. Soldier Road also busy for you near Windsor Place and at the intersection with Robinson Road all the way up to and beyond the intersection with Village, Wolf and Bernard Road. Very heavy traffic for you there. Robinson between Soldier and Old Trail. Westbound. Heavy congestion there. And pockets along Prince Charles Drive, westbound mainly, and Eastern Road in the usual spots there between San Souci and Johnson Road. Those are your hot spots this morning, quite a few of them. That's your real-time traffic in your Morning Blend Traffic Alert, brought to you by RBC Royal Bank.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, Nassau, Bahamas.
I used to bite my tongue and hold my breath, scared to rock the boat and make a mess. So I said quietly, agreed politely. I guess that I forgot I had a choice. I let you push me past the breaking point. I stood for nothing, so I fell for everything. You held me down, but I got up.
We are back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Pamela Musgrove. And the story has raised eyebrows all over the world, after meeting the Duchess of Cambridge, Kate, when she landed here in Nassau, LPIA. The 8-year-old girl who greeted the Duchess had, of course, an amazing experience, but when asked about it by reporters, she said, quote, "They can't bully me anymore."
Wow.
Speaking of her schoolmates, who won't be able to tell her what to do after the royal called her beautiful. The story was picked up by the British media, of course, the Daily Mail and others, and it got some international coverage. We haven't talked about it much here, though.
I have
The
not
comment
seen the
was-
story.
Was everybody just like, oh, well. But we know we have a problem. We know we've had a problem for years, for decades, school bullying here. And part of the problem is a lot of people don't recognize what exactly bullying is. And here to help us with that, very pleased to welcome back to the show mental health therapist Jenna Christie. Good morning. Great to have you with us.
Good morning. Good morning. Great to be back. Thank you.
Yeah,
Good morning.
This was touching and surprising to hear this little girl say this. But we know this is a problem. This is a problem from your perspective. How bad is it here? How bad is school bullying?
I think it's a more of a significant problem than we're willing to admit. When it comes to bullying, we tend to downplay it. We often tend to think that bullying is just child play and that we need to toughen up. Our kids need to toughen up. And that's not always the case.
Mm-hmm.
Bullying is a very significant and psychologically taxing situation.
Right. You mentioned psychologically because some people, I was talking with some colleagues last week and they were thinking that it is physical, that it is, you put your hands on me, you tapped me, you pinched me, you did pull my hair, that kind of thing, but not necessarily.
No, definitely not. You do have physical bullying, which incorporates the examples you just said. But then we also have social bullying. And social bullying, you tend to see more amongst young girls. That is social exclusion, ostracizing, attempting to alter somebody's social status and social reputation. You have verbal bullying. And you have cyberbullying, which is definitely on the rise.
Mm-hmm.
So there's physical, verbal, psychological, emotional bullying. Which one do you feel or are all prevalent in our schools today? And where's this data? Where are we hearing the complaints?
I believe that it's a mixture depending upon the different environments, but that's cyberbullying is definitely one that we downplay that really deserves a lot more attention. Our children are specifically on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and a lot of bullies feel a sense of security behind the screen, behind a device, to be able to bully a lot of other children, intimidate them. Now, a lot of the complaints that do come in, of course, from the children maybe telling their parents and the parents maybe making complaints to the schools. Sometimes it's easily observed amongst teachers, school officials. But I really feel that we need to focus heavily on trying to make numerous campaign and ongoing campaign efforts to really call a lot of attention to the bullying that is happening.
When we were talking about the age of consent being moved from 16 to 18, right? Do you think someone under 18 or a child in school should even have a social media account?
I think we need to recognize that children love connection because, we're human beings. However, it's not a matter necessarily of whether or not they should have it. I think we should look at how they use it, how often, is it regulated, is it monitored? I remember several talks that I gave during the height of the pandemic. And I said, we're spending a lot of time virtually. And that is where a lot of predators really were on the rise with seeking out different victims. And I think what we do, excuse me, is that we allow social media to really raise our children, keep them occupied, but we're not necessarily giving them the amount of restrictions. But are we putting all of the parental codes? Are we monitoring their usage? Because social media can be a very useful tool for those maybe like in senior high school, using it for whatever classwork they need, or just building connections and understanding, learning who they are, getting some exposure to appropriate but maybe different things and that we may not have readily available here in the Bahamas. So it is a useful tool for connection and networking. But are we monitoring it?
Right. So should parents have passwords and be able to go
Definitely.
on? Yeah.
I am a very strong believer in your parents having your passwords to these devices. There are even different technologies that allow you before the child can even download an app or make any changes to the device, you get a notification to your phone or your device, and you have to approve it first. I believe in there are different apps that say that if they're on a particular app, they can't change the screen from that app. They actually would have to put in a passcode for them to even switch from one app to another app. Mm-hmm. So we have the different safety mechanisms available, but are they used?
Yeah.
He said the 14-year-old said she met the 40-year-old online. Right? So I really believe, I don't think an under 16-year-old should probably have a social media account, because if they are if they are on where their parents can monitor them, can they also set up another account under another name where their parents wouldn't even know who they are?
There are always going to be loopholes. Always going to be some type of loophole, because who's to say that, the parent says, hey, no social media, period. Child goes to school, uses a friend's device to make an account. So there's never a foolproof way to ensure that your child does not have a social media, because at the end of the day, when there's a will, there's a way.
All right, so
we also have to look at that too.
So we've done shows on this before, and with cyberbullying, that we remember from school back in the day, after 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, when you went home, for the most part, you didn't see the bully anymore if you're being bullied. But it continues with cyberbullying well into the evening, overnight, wake up in the morning, and you greet it with something else. So it's a never-ending parade of harassment, basically. If you are a parent and you do have access to your child's accounts, and you see that your child is a victim of bullying, what should you? And also, if you realize your child might be the bully, what should you do?
I think when it comes to whether or not your child is being bullied, one of the first things I want to stress is that please, and it's so hard because, that's your baby. You don't want anything to happen to your child, but your response is very important, because a lot of children do not disclose that they are being bullied for fear of further bullying or making the situation worse. And the last thing they need is for their parent to come and make the situation even worse for them, because we've all been 13 and 14 years old, but we've never been 13 and 14 years old in 2022. Mm-hmm. And it's a completely different time. And though we've gone through these things, these areas of development, it's different for them than it is for us. So as a parent, the way you approach the situation means a lot, because they may not even want to tell you, because, mommy could come and act a fool, or they could tease me more. Mommy, why you do that? Daddy, why you do that? And you think you're helping and you're making the situation worse. So be mindful of how erratic your response can be when you approach the school. That's number one. Number two, make sure that when a child does come to you, your child comes to you and says, hey, this is what's going on, or this is what you see, you also take it seriously. Because we do have parents, or I've at least encountered some parents sometimes, oh, why they always crying, man? They need to toughen up, man. It ain't that bad. And we downplay it without understanding the emotional and mental effect it could be having on that child. We've seen over the years in international news, especially children as young as 12, 13 years old, attempting suicide or completing suicide because of school bullying. They couldn't take it. So it's not something to take lightly. If you're seeing that your child could potentially be the bully, now that's some extreme intervention, and you need to figure out, well, what's going on. Children always act out in environments where they feel the safest. So if a child is acting out within the school, chances are a majority of the problems they're experiencing, which promote the bullying behavior, is occurring within the home. A child who's being bullied in the school is likely to show their symptoms within the home. So therefore, you should be looking at the opposite environment in which the child is.
Wow. Okay. We're getting some incredible messages here. Some parents saying that often when you go to the schools do nothing. They try to shield the situation, try to not discuss, address it directly. What do you do in the school is of no assistance.
I always say take it up a notch. It's the same thing. If you're not getting it's like customer service, right? If the immediate person that you're dealing with is not receptive to your complaints, you go above them and you go above them. The safety of the child is paramount. And that's what we need to focus on. So if your school if your school official is not taking it seriously, then who the person in the Ministry of Education that's above them, you keep going. You call attention to the situation as much as possible. Sometimes in the Bahamas, we're very reactive, unfortunately, rather than being proactive. And this is where we need to urge the ministry, if they already do not have certain things in place. They need to have enforceable policies for these things. They need to be consistent, because the only way behavioral change occurs is if there are consistent interventions that are being enforced to show that it's a zero tolerance policy for bullying behavior. So I always urge people that if you're not getting the appropriate response where you are, don't let it rest there. Go. There's always somebody above. There's always somebody above them. Keep going, because if this is your child, you want to make sure that they're safe. And it's a disgrace for any school official or any person in a position of authority to hear about this complaint. Whether you believe it to be factual or not, it needs to be addressed and taken seriously, because you yourself being present maybe within the school system, you're not going to see everything all the time.
Yeah.
So if a child is coming to you, they need to be able to feel comfortable in knowing that my concern is going to be heard and dealt with appropriately.
Now, we've heard this a lot. People say, my child's being bullied, and they will go to the school and the adult addresses the bully, the child, directly. Is that ever a good idea?
It's never a good idea to bully the bully. All you do is continue to perpetuate that behavior. You're showing them that their behavior is appropriate because you're engaging in the same behavior.
Okay, what if you don't bully them? What if you just try to talk to them rationally? Is that ever a thing?
Talking to them rationally?
No,
because the situation that's causing them to bully is not one to just address, hey, stop doing that. Whatever is the reason for the bullying, because we know different characteristics of those who are more likely to be a bully. We know they generally come from distressing home environments. We know they generally have low self-esteem. We know they generally have poor academic performance. We know these things. They have poor social skills. Those things are not going to go away with just a stern talking to. they are the children who need more of the intervention than the child who's actually being bullied. The child who's being bullied is just a target of their frustration. Now, they might need some assistance afterwards to cope and deal and understand with whatever trauma they may have experienced from being the victim of bullying. But a stern talking to or don't do that, that's not going to stop the bullying behavior.
Wow.
The bullying behavior is only a symptom of a greater issue.
And how soon is it important to start as early as possible to address the problem? I have a story. I remember many years ago, there were a few girls in primary school. They wrote some negative comments on a paper about another girl. And so the teacher told the parents. And one of the parents, who was one of my very good friends, when she looked at the paper, she said she knew the handwriting of her child. Oh, wow. And so she went to her and she asked her, tell me the truth. Did you do it? And she burst out crying and said she was sorry. And she talked to her about it. And so the next day, her dad bought a gift for her to present to the girl. And they made her go in the front of the class and present the gift to the young lady that they were talking about and apologize for doing it. And I told her that was awesome. That was an awesome message, because sometimes some parents don't accept. If their child is the bully, they would probably try to defend that child and probably go at the teachers for saying that your child is a bully. So I think you have to address these issues and expose them for what they are and address it early on if you see traits of it in children.
Yes, I think that is an excellent story, and I applaud the parents for their response to that, because when you're addressing just the child or the two children or however many are involved in isolation, it does not have as great of an effect as what you're saying. So I think that was an excellent intervention that they did to show that, hey, we are not supporting this type of behavior, because you are so right. We do have a lot of parents that no, not my good one child. You know, they just know they could do no wrong. But that's not always the case, unfortunately. And you asked if we should be doing this intervention early. Definitely. Bullying in schools should definitely be starting, this awareness should definitely be starting from primary school. We know that primary school is usually the time where you start to see certain behaviors, and they usually reach their peak around junior high school. So it tends, depending upon different cultural and context, it tends to level out for senior high, but not always. You could always find it has continued into the higher grades. But we need to begin from the primary level, because that's where you start to teach kindness and you start to teach empathy and you start to teach how your actions can have an impact and an effect on someone else. So these are key social skills that children are supposed to be learning in different contexts, whether in home, school, neighborhood, church, so that as they encounter more children in different settings, they're applying these lessons there.
All right, let's take this call, and then we'll get to some of the text messages that have come in. Good morning, caller on Morning Blend.
Good morning, Dwight. You mean me?
Yes, you.
Good morning to your guest, and good morning to Miss Musgrove.
Good morning. Hi.
Hi, how you doing? Sometimes I was wondering, we be thinking alike, like Sagittarius. I'm sure a lot of people in the country think like that too, and in the world. But the question should have been asked, talking about 15 and 14. I don't know, Facebook has a law to say you have to be a certain age to go on. So that's where we're falling down as parents, allowing our children to be on these social media, and we don't have the time to supervise them. This topic is so timely because when it comes down to bullying and stuff like that, ain't none of us parents could like to hear our child get choked or their money get taken and they get a bully in the class. So I think it's something we need to do rather than, when we don't talk about it, do some actions, even if we have to visit the schools, community, the churches, your organization. Mom, I didn't hear where you're from or if you're part of government or what, but we need to really sit down and talk and try to do some action to see if we could help some of these children, them who come in out of these communities. Mom, it ain't just an environment thing, or the home where you come from. where your parents didn't have the time to supervise you and teach you about right and wrong and yes, ma'am, and manners and all that stuff. It's a culture thing, too. We have two things going on right now. The culture thing, we have Haitian Bahamians. Back in my days when I went to school, they used to be humble. They ain't as humble as how they used to be right now. If you check the last name sometime, and sometimes they have names just like us Bahamians, Johnson and Forbes. The next thing what is going on now, because of this pandemic, a lot of children repeat. So they go back two years back or 1 year back. So you get some grade 4 children, boys or girls, in the same class with a grade 2 and a grade 1. And that is causing a problem. Some of them come with poor environment, like you say, and some of them just have that bully inside of them. And us parents, we don't want to hear no one choke and hurt our children. We ready to take matters in our own hands, but we got to take our time and we approaching the schools, then talk to the principal, and hope some satisfaction come out of it. You can't just let them things there, because these little children, it starts in these primary school. It really starts within the home. They grow up to be murderers and stuff like that. Bullying is that's the first step. That's just the first stage. So this is a serious topic, and we need to work on it, because ain't nobody want to hear we said, and we got to keep our children home. Best thing for us to do some of us is to homeschool our children if we could afford to do it.
Okay, thank you very much. Very passionate there. And yeah, there are long-term effects, and some of the bullied will never forget what has happened to them. But you mentioned it. We need to take a break. But you mentioned it before about what, especially with girls and the exclusion, and how to many that isn't seen as being a bully. You have a party and you invite all the girls except for one.
Yeah.
And you think that's fine because that's not your friend.
See, adults may think, like, what's the big deal? They didn't invite you. That's their business. But to that teenager or to that young girl, that is major and can have a traumatic effect.
And that would have an impact on boys, too. I mean, any child who feels excluded. What do you do when your child is the one who you find out invited everyone except for one person?
I think you need to make sure that you, as a parent, we had this, well, let me not say, before I get to that part, when I was in school, we definitely had a rule. The school had a rule. If you were to ever have a party in which you were to invite the children in the classroom, in the school, if you handed out the invitations or whatever in the school, you were required to give every single person an invitation.
You went to a private school, right? You went to a private school.
Yes, I was private school.
There you go.
So that was the rule.
So everybody in your class, you had to give an invitation.
You had to give. If you brought it to the school, you had to give it to everyone.
My goodness.
Now, as a parent, I feel like you really should look into adopting that same mindset of being an inclusive person.
Wait, so you couldn't even invite your two friends only? Like only two people? You couldn't do that?
No, if you wanted to invite,
If you do it on school. Okay. Okay.
outside of school,
Sure.
you had to call them on the phone and do it.
Okay. That's not a bad policy, I guess.
Well, that's in the school. So you,
Yeah.
you can plan your party without going through the school, and you don't have to invite anybody in that class or half of the person in the class.
Wow.
So that was the school's way of trying to make sure that they had a positive school climate and making sure that everybody was there. That was their ways. And you can't exclude anybody if you're doing it here on the grounds.
Okay. And if you find out that your child is the one excluded, what should be your course of action?
If your child is the one excluded, okay, well, there are multiple ways you could do it, because you can either address it with the parent directly, or you can be the one to host something to include the other children, or you can find alternative community events for kids. Because sometimes, you don't want to force connections, but you can always find different networking groups for kids to engage in, maybe outside of that. No, you have to be best friends with everybody in your class. No one says you have to be best friends with everyone in your school. But if you're noticing that your child is not being welcomed in certain areas, we'll find out what is it that they like, and maybe find alternative groups outside of the school environment that they can partake in to get that socialization, because that really matters. So there's more than one way to skin a cat. You don't have to force a relationship with your peers in the classroom.
Okay. Let's take this call quickly, and then we've got to take our break. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Hi.
Hi, yes. I'm calling about the guy who called earlier, and then he was talking about the Haitian Bahamians being the ones who are the bullies. I'm a Haitian Bahamian, and growing up, I was bullied for being a Haitian. And so every kid, whether it's Bahamian or Haitian Bahamian, they bully each other. You understand? I was bullied for being a Haitian. So I don't think he should say it's
Did
like
he
a
say that?
Haitian.
I missed that. I'm so sorry. Wow.
Yes, he did say it. He said
goodness.
the Haitian Bahamian. I was bullied for being a Haitian because of my last name, and I used to get told to kill my Haitian ass and go back to Haiti and the banana boat, all type of stuff. So kids just as bully each other. It's wrong, but they do it. But it's not a Haitian Bahamian thing or a Bahamian thing.
Yeah. Oh boy. I'm sorry. I missed him saying that.
When bullying
but thank you
happens,
very
people
much.
are bullied because their skin is darker. People are bullied because their hair may be a bit more kinkier. You know, it's. I think there needs to be campaigns to encourage children to be kind and to have empathy towards each other in the schools. Because, like I said, we don't have the statistic. Because for many Bahamians, this is probably not even a problem unless you have a personal experience.
Yeah.
I don't hear it, but I imagine when we were growing up in school, you had it all the time. You probably didn't look at it as bullying, but there was always somebody there who was exerting their authority and putting fear in everybody else.
Well, like I
to
told
go
somebody last week, if you didn't think bullying was a problem when you were in school, you more than likely were the bully. I don't know if you agree with that, Jenna Christie, but we'll talk more on the other side of the break. Stay with us. This is Morning Blend on Guardian Radio.
Whenever you want, wherever you are, for all your banking needs, we make it easy. CIBC, First Caribbean, we've got all your banking solutions. CIBC, First Caribbean. CIBC, First Caribbean.
Around the world, Cleveland Clinic is recognized as a leader in healthcare. Our team of experts relentlessly pursues the best for our patients. From groundbreaking cancer research to state-of-the-art heart surgery, life-saving innovations happen here every day. When it's time to travel for your health, it's time to travel to Cleveland Clinic. Your destination for care. For every care in the world. To learn more, visit clevelandclinic.org/Caribbean.
One thing there is no debate about is that BTC has the best rates. Now, the best rates just got better because you pay half the price of the other guys with your BTC home internet and mobile services combined. Switching to BTC is a no-brainer because I pay less with BTC and get super fast internet with speeds up to 600 megs. The other guys, their internet only go up to 105 megs.
Get all the internet you want at half the price when you bundle your home internet and mobile. Visit a BTC store to make the switch today. Conditions apply.
Ready to save? You can put $100 into the CFAL Savings Express Plan and make sure your money keeps growing. Earn interest on your savings while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit CFAL.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
From our beginning on Bay Street in 1927, Kelly's House and Home is still going strong. Catch our anniversary sale Friday, April 1st through Wednesday, April 6th. Save 20% off on home decor, housewares, paint, linens, china and gifts, baby, toys, and stationery, except on net items. Come by Saturday, April 2nd, beginning at 7 a.m. and receive a token of our appreciation with purchase while supplies last. Shop online at kellysbahamas.com. Happy 95th anniversary, Kelly's House and Home. We're proud to be a part of your life.
I used to bite my tongue and hold my
We're back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Pamela Musgrove. We are talking with mental health therapist Jenna Christie about school bullying. We've got a few messages here in our final few minutes. Oh boy, this text here, going back to the young girl who met Duchess Kate. I cry shame on the media. When that child said she would not be bullied, that reporter stopped that interview with haste. In addition, the mother was also very sympathetic. Listen to the broadcast. My question is, why didn't the reporter follow through with this story? We wait until the international media picks it up. So now it appears that bullying is only relevant if foreigners shame us.
I think it's culture that we try to hide things, always try to show the best and sweep all the negativity under the rug. The problem is we don't go back to clean it up. We just keep it there and pile it up.
But there have been campaigns. We've talked about it often on the show.
Mm-hmm.
There've been campaigns here, local stop school bullying. We know there is a problem. We're just bringing it up again because we've heard multiple stories in the past few weeks of students, who are having issues, and some say some of the schools are trying to cover these things up, and that's really unfortunate. Oh boy. Okay, this person says here, my concern is about the independent schools. No, this is not what we're talking about. What are you talking about here? Anyway, are the police assigned to those as well? My neighbor was bullied at school and ended up in the ER. The vice principal, director of education, chairman of the board all rallied around the perpetrator. The victim was shamed after the entire ordeal. The victim. The perpetrator is a known bully who was allegedly transferred from another independent school because of his dysfunctional behavior. Schools need to stop covering for these criminals in training. Wow, what do you say to that, Jenna?
Wow, that's powerful. But I definitely agree. If you're having a child who is bullying another child so badly that they were sent to the ER, I do not understand what the appropriate response, why the response would have been to rally around that child to shame the victim. I think we need to be extremely careful of how we handle these situations and to make sure that we're not fueling the behavior and making sure that we're not giving positive attention to what those who exhibit bullying behavior, to what it is that they're doing. We have to make sure that we're protecting both sides of the situation while also maintaining accountability. Because there's no way that any type of behavior like that should have ever been excused, and the result being, okay, we're just gonna let you hop around from school to school to school, and going and encountering this group of children, these group of children, without giving the appropriate intervention. Is that, I would really need to know, is that child in therapy? Because that alone, if you're having that level of aggression from a child, that intervention should have been started way in the beginning with the subtle signs. We need to stop ignoring these subtle signs. These subtle signs don't just go away. They become exacerbated. They become worse. And we're literally having children in the ER. How do you even logically explain that?
Well, yeah. This text here, you guys can't be serious. Why should you invite a child in your class to a party if you don't like them? That's not how life works. Everyone does not get a trophy.
Everyone might not get a trophy, but like we said, that was the school's way of having a positive climate. Nobody said that was an obligation. No one said that you had to. If you wanted to go privately and do your own thing, you are more than welcome to. And it's not about giving a trophy, but it's about understanding inclusivity. And would you be having the same mindset if your child was on the opposite end?
Yeah.
I kind of agree with the school that the school policy in that. They said if you want to distribute these invitations via the school, then everybody must be invited. And if you didn't want everyone invited, then you do it privately. Have your parents go and drop them off.
Not a problem.
Yeah, it makes sense. This text here, as an educator, trust me, bullying is a part of our culture. Students are even bullied by teachers.
Yes,
Yeah?
they are. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. It's very poor taste and poor practice to have that happening. But you know, I've had children come to me and say they can't stand this teacher because this teacher is always picking on them. They're not understanding the work, and then you wonder why they're always acting out in your class. It's an avoidance. They don't want to be there, and it's very unfortunate because you even have school officials or teachers who bully each other. So it's all a part of our entire Bahamian culture, unfortunately.
My goodness. They go on to say that the students are even bullied by teachers, other teachers, and some principals ignore bullying. It's clearly evident, and then these bullies become managers in the workplace. Where it continues, Dwight, sadly, a big part of our culture. Do we have any studies that say that if you were a bully as a kid and you are, as a previous caller said, you end up being a criminal or you end up being a bully as a manager in the workplace?
There are some. I do not know how highly applicable they would be in our Bahamian context, but there is literature that does show these things. I want to be cautious about it, but I'm not necessarily going to say, because I don't want to taint everyone who's in the profession. But when you look at different psychological profiles of certain professions, you find that a lot of them that are in positions of authority or some type of enforcement, the literature does point to maybe having a rough adolescence, quote unquote bullied adolescence, or teenagehood, which led them into certain professions. I'll put it like that.
My goodness.
I know how our Bahamian people go, so I don't want to taint the whole profession.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, I wish.
But if you look at it, even down to surgeons, certain types of doctors, certain types of surgeons, even pilots, that there are profiles for different professions. So, yeah, it is very interesting research.
Okay. This text here. I went to the same school from grade 1 to graduation. The first 4 years were the ones I loved. In grade 4, I was told I couldn't hang out with the group anymore. I was not wanted. Whoa. It stayed that way until graduation. Never got invited to the parties, was teased because I had a speech impairment. On the walk home, I got bullied from children on the street because I went to a private school. My life was hell. Oh, boy.
Wow.
That's pretty sad.
See, we really downplay that social isolation. We really, really do, because when you're seeing your peers building relationships, building memories, and you're ostracized for no reason, at least no identified reason, that is very damaging. That's when you really see a lot of self-isolation. You see children who are withdrawn, children, and that really impairs their ability to continue to advance their social skills. So then you have children who are coming out into the world socially inept. We really have to pay better attention to what socialization is and how important it is, because those without proper social skills, those are the ones who typically lead to illicit behavior moving forward.
Let's take this call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Right.
Hi.
Hey, isn't that young girl one of your temporary host daughter?
Yes, we didn't want to have to call the name there, but yes, that is right. Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't have to call the name. I just wanted to confirm it.
Yeah. So, should I say? I mean, we did want to include, but I don't know. Let me not say anything more. We get people in trouble. But it goes deep. Things go deep around here, and what people Anyway, let's just leave that right
I
there.
think, like you said earlier, many of us growing up were bullied, but we never took it to mean bullying. We were just someone was mean or some mean spirited towards us or didn't include us, and you just had to get over it and move on. But it is a form of bullying, and someone said a lot of it's cultural, and I think we have to address it.
And some of us admit fully well that we were bullied. We know that, and we know for a fact.
Yeah.
And
And I want to really urge our parents that when you have children who are in like kind of high social standards, we know the quote unquote popular kids. We really should look to teaching our kids to stand up for when they know things aren't right, because a bully only has power when they have an audience. We know a bully feeds off of being the head honcho, and 70% of kids, roughly 70% of kids, are bystanders to bullying. How powerful of a statement could it be if our kids do not feed that type of attention towards that bullying behavior? 70% are just bystanders, heckling, laughing, and engaging in this type of behavior. They're not the bully, but because of their silence or because of their response, it's the bullying behavior.
Doesn't that just match up to society in general when they get to be adults? That's what we see, right? 70% just sit back and laugh or don't do anything to all the horrible things going around them. Yeah. So we take that from childhood straight into adulthood and sit back and allow all these things to happen around us. Oh boy, that's rough.
I remember back in junior high, there was a bully. It was a girl. She was very aggressive, and she was bullying my cousin. But he was soft-spoken, and I just didn't like that. I just stood there. I couldn't. We were playing a game, and she was bullying him. So I kind of got into it to try to provoke her to turn the attention off of my cousin and kind of onto me. And then she recognized it. She says, "Oh, so Pam, you want to fight? You want to get in this?" I said, "No, I'm not fighting you." She says, "Oh, you want to fight? Meet me behind the school." She said something after 3. That time I'm shaking in my boots, right? But I just wanted to divert her attention because I think it was unfair what she was doing to my cousin. And I hate injustice. I just hate it, right? And so we were on the line ready to go into class, and everybody was talking and buzzing, and then she was back. She said, "You want to fight?" I said, "I don't want to fight you. I do not want to fight you. And I'm not fighting. I'm not meeting you anywhere behind any place," right? And so after class, I just proceeded to walk out with my cousins to go.
Did it work? Did she stop bullying your cousin?
No, I think that was that incident right there. I don't think it was a continuous one, but we were all in the classroom playing some game, and she was bullying, but we all knew her to be a bully in the class. But
so
we never
Jenna,
fought.
in that situation, is Pam the bully?
I will not say she's a bully. I feel like she intervened and she diverted the attention away from the target. And kudos to you, and kudos to you for your assertive communication and saying, this ain't happening today.
Excellent.
So awesome, Pam.
All right, we are running out of time, but I just want to ask you. So, I mean, people have nicknames for folks and that they don't like, and they call them that. Is that bullying as well? Is that considered bullying?
Yes, name calling is. And also because when you even look at different types of abuse, even with domestic violence, one of the things that is listed as a behavioral symptom of that is name calling, the taunting and the teasing. It literally is to degrade a person. Therefore, it has a negative emotional and mental effect.
Yeah.
So yes, that is another way for bullying behavior to show itself.
Yeah. And your final words to parents out there to recognize the symptoms of a child who is bullied or is a bully, what they should be doing really quickly.
Okay, when you're seeing it, like I said, you're looking for the isolation, you're looking for being withdrawn, you're looking for, this is if your child is being bullied. You're looking for sudden behavioral changes. If your child is the bully, that aggressive behavior, the taunting, the name calling, the persistent exclusion, because mind you, it's okay to talk to your child about it. You know, and if you feel like, okay, you don't want, that child doesn't want to speak to another child for whatever reason that you deem, okay, appropriate, that's fine. But it's a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure that if you're seeing a lot of overly aggressive and dominant traits in your child, especially if there are low levels of empathy, they just don't seem to care about anybody's feelings. They're very uncooperative with adults and with other kids. These are red flags. And these are things that you need to do to get intervention, seek out guidance, seek out any other mentoring programs, community programs. If you feel that there's a youth program in your church, that's very good. You have a host of different resources and supports. You just have to ask. You just have to seek them out. Sometimes they may not be known to you, but through conversation, somebody knows where they need to be. Even engaging in sports. A lot of sports are very critical to positive behavior and social development. They teach a lot of positive social skills.
Yeah.
So just get them involved in other proactive behaviors, a lot of positive behaviors, and you can start to see certain changes. But if your child is the bully and you recognize a lot of that stems from home life, that's when you also need to check yourself too.
Absolutely.
Hold yourself accountable as well.
Janet Christie, thank you so much. Always a pleasure. Hopefully we'll talk again soon. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. Y'all have a wonderful day.
You too. We'll be back with Morning Blend Business. Stay tuned.
Are you an attorney with a joint practice operating from one location? Accepting payments from clients doesn't have to be complicated.
Introducing RBC MultiPay. Now each attorney can securely accept and settle payments with one point-of-sale device supporting multiple bank accounts.
With competitive pricing, training, and easy setup, you will be up and running in no time.
Call 356-8500 to sign up for
RBC
MultiPay.
We're good for you. We know how important collecting your money can be to the success of your business. Start your relationship with Fidelity today so that we can show you the many options available to you with our merchant services. From click and pay options online to merchant terminals and e-commerce options. We're here to help your business succeed. For more details, speak to one of our business development officers at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport. Visit our website at fidelitygroup.com or visit any of our branches.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the position of the management and staff of Guardian Network.
Wake up, it's a new day. Wake up, it's a new day.
Good morning and welcome to Morning Blend Business on this Monday, April 4th, 2022. Welcome back to our Morning Blend listeners. Once again, I'm Dwight Strachan along with Pamela Musgrove. And this morning we are doing a business news roundup, some of the hot issues in the business world in the Bahamas today. I'm going to kick it off with some of the comments. This is all since it's been a lot of, what would you call it, fallout, Pam? Ever since The Guardian and The Tribune met with Susan Holowesko Larson about the food program, and she the information that the Minister of Social Services said they didn't have to Brazil Bank, who had given the loan for the food assistance program. Susan Larson showing, hey, well, we had this and we presented this to the Ministry of Finance and last year and this year. And so there's been so much confusion now as to where things stand. Or why is the government saying they don't have this information? And the former head chair of the program, the task, but we did give them this information. So since then, we've had all manner of excitement. We've had a protest here at the Nassau Garden. Some individuals taking over our lobby and carrying on, demanding to see the information. I don't know why they didn't go to Susan Larson's office, where you would think, right, why would you come here?
They probably won't get far.
Oh, okay.
Past the streets.
Is that how it works? Well, isn't that interesting? Come here and record yourselves making a spectacle of yourselves. Okay.
The way I look at this initiative, what it looked like to me as if Susan Larson's company was contracted to manage this program, right? Public-private partnership. And we know the government would not have been able to handle a program of this magnitude in terms of logistics. Because I think sometimes we trivialize these things. Oh, it's just buying some food items and giving it to the people. But this is how I see it. They were contracted. So this report would not necessarily be in the Ministry of Social Services Department.
Well, she says she gave it to the finance.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It wouldn't be there. It would be because they were contracted to manage this program.
Right. And Social Services had nothing to do with it.
Exactly. And so they would have given the report to the Ministry of Finance. And they also met with the World Bank, because I think the World Bank wants to have an accounting of what happened and give them a report. And this is probably an updated report.
Yeah.
So I don't expect that the Ministry of Social Services would have had this report. Now, I think what has happened is since the election of last year, they discontinued their previous arrangement that the previous administration had, and now this is in the laps of social services.
Well, call up finance then.
And so I think they're clueless as to what is happening, because whatever was done with this public-private partnership arrangement, they don't have this information. And so they would have to go and deal with the Ministry of Finance to compile what happened during 2020. Or they should have only been able to do up like the previous according to the previous arrangement, they should have been able to do up to, let's say, August. Up to August, Susan Larson's company should have done whatever report up to August, turn that over to the Ministry of Finance like they did. And then from September on, that would be in Social Services hands to report to the World Bank on the status of the program.
But she's saying that they did that again, and they did that this January, past January. Right? So what's happening here? It's very confusing. And why is everyone acting like they cannot pick up the phone and call people who you can see every day driving around? I don't understand it. But it gets even more confusing based on the most recent comments from the Social Services Minister, Obi Wilshcombe. Take a listen to this report from our partners with Our News, Megan Shepard.
Minister of Social Services Obi Wilshcombe is calling for food program documents viewed by the Nassau Guardian and the Tribune to be sent to his ministry. Wilshcombe insists his ministry does not have them.
Two major newspapers simply talked about what someone said. Where's the information? Where are the details? All they have to do is provide the information. All Ms. Lawson is to send the information to the financial services. She can send it over to the FS. She can send it over to the Auditor General and send it to the Ministry of Social Services, all of whom are waiting for the information. We do not have the information.
Prime Minister Philip Davis previously told Parliament it appeared the food program did not give an account of how its $53 million allocation was spent. However, documents viewed by the Nassau Guardian appear to contradict the government's claim that there were no records on spending, no breakdown on who was being helped, and no paper trail.
They saw a document. They saw a document that was sent out maybe before the program began. Not the document that we're referring to. We're talking about the document necessary for when the program ended. And what's the difficulty? If there's a document, present it. What's the difficulty? If we lost it, send it again. Just send it to us. We don't have the document. Why would someone say they don't have it if they, or if even all of us are in some conspiracy, we don't have the document? Just send it. Just simple. Oh, listen, we lost it. Please send it.
Wow. Okay. What?
He's
Wait,
saying they
is
lost
that hypothetical, or they really did lose it? You can't tell now. But if they did,
So is
just send it again.
finance saying there's no document there?
So did they ever call her to ask her to send it again? Oops, we something's wrong. We misplaced it. I don't. Why is this so difficult?
Or maybe ask the World Bank for the document that was presented to them.
That you talk about being embarrassed. If you're embarrassed that you can't answer the questions, you can't ask them, hey, what did they send you? Send that to us too? No, you can't do that.
I think the World Bank is listening. They may offer it. If they, with all this conversation, they probably say, here, take it. This is what was presented to us earlier.
But then this goes back to what questions about what Susan Larson is saying. If you did present it, why is the minister saying they can't answer the questions? And if you did send it to the World Bank, why are they still asking?
Like I mentioned earlier, I think this was done previously by this private company and not government. And so now government has to step
in the most
in
recent
now.
weeks, and they can't provide the information.
And
that
now
was
to
previously.
present.
Boy, oh boy. Okay. This really doesn't have to run on this long, I suspect. But let's hear what you have to say, folks. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. If you were listening last week, you know that a caller introduced some things that we hadn't heard were being asked for, and that was bizarre to us. We don't know if that is the case, but so many unanswered questions here. Let's hear from you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hello, good morning, Dwight and Pam.
Hi, good morning.
Yeah, reference to what you and Pam was talking about earlier about the sentence for minors and rape cases. I know Joan Sawyer, she was justice now. She retired as Dame, charged of appeal court. But she gave a steward fellow in Freeport, I could call the first name, but I don't want to do that on the show. She gave him, he used to take his neighbor daughter to school along with when he take his daughter. And he ended up raping the young girl. And Joan Sawyer, I worked in the Supreme Court at the time as a police, and Joan Sawyer gave him 16 years. And I heard her say on, I think it was Nigel Black's show or another show on The Guardian, she regret that she didn't give him 3 times that amount. She didn't regret, that means 48 years she would have given, which would have been life in prison. So you can get more than 7 years. Depends on the age of the minor. Hello?
Yeah, and I'm sure other factors as well.
And that fellow, I think he's down to the bottom rock. He's to be a big time drug dealer in Freeport, but he don't even have an inside toilet. The millions he had. You know, I thought the steward brothers in Freeport, man.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right. This text here. It's extremely unfortunate that Mrs. Larson has become the focus of all of this backlash when all of the confusion can be laid at the feet of the people who made the decisions on the contracting of the data management. The persons responsible for those decisions. Millicent Diaguilar. Okay. This one says here, the last government lost the OBAN file, so why are we playing like this? It's not possible to lose the file, okay? And another OBAN file text here. Tell Obi to look next to where the OBAN files are. So everything is a joke.
I think the challenge with this is that the World Bank has already received the report from the Bahamas regarding the food program. So this is an update. And now we're saying we can't answer them. But they've already received the report initially.
Yeah, boy.
On the same program.
Let's take another call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Dwight and Palm. Before I deal with Ms. Lawson, I have a good friend in the States. Like 2 years ago, he was 23. The girl was 16. Nice guy, not smart, never been involved with no trouble. The judge gave him 23 years for playing around with underage. Now, getting back to the food feeding program, why she went straight to who borrowed the money in the first place? The government, right? Why she bypassed them and went to the World Bank? It don't make
She
it don't
didn't
make
say
no
that.
sense.
No,
She did not
didn't
say that.
bypass them. She submitted the report. I think she was contracted to do this program.
She gave it to the Ministry of Finance, and she said she was in contact with the World Bank.
But then they said that they can't find the father. Listen now. And then she was given $5 million for administrative costs. What did she buy? Who did she rent from? Now, who owns
All the information
stuff that
is
she
right
buy?
there.
Okay, so did the government send a letter to Ms. Larson's asking her for the report? Or is this request publicly?
But I'm saying they should have had it because she said they have it, but they said they can't find it. But listen now, Palm, she was given $5 million for administrative costs. What did she buy with the $5 million? And now who owns the trailer, trucks? Who did she rent from? Did she rent from herself? That need to be flushed out. She got $5 million of the $53 million. What did she do with the $5 million? What did she buy? Who owns that stuff right now? Trucks, cars, whatever. Are they ours? Are they hers?
Okay, that's some unusual questions there. I mean, the NGOs were major parts of this as well. So, okay, everybody's focused on the individual. So, hey, is that bullying, Pam? When you got a certain name, and then everything you do, see it in a different light. Oh well. Okay. Hey, let's take a break. When we come back, other issues in the news, in the business news world in the Bahamas on this Monday morning. This is Morning Blend Business on Guardian Radio 96.9. Stay with us.
Wait, you know what's going down tomorrow?
Nobody, what happening?
Joe bringing these knives to school. He could do Junior in.
For what?
Wait, he fooled with Joe girl.
Mother sick. And you know Junior don't back down for nothing. So that means you got a big fight tomorrow.
So whose side you on?
Side? I trying to stay in school, not Simpson Pen. We gotta tell somebody about this fight.
Tell somebody? I ain't no snitch. I mean cool, you know.
Wait, if you so cool, then you need to stay in school and stay out of the fight.
Yeah, but if I don't hang on Joe's side, how many boys coming for me next?
All right, so we definitely gotta tell somebody. We gotta prevent the fight.
What I say, I don't want nobody call me snitch.
We could just call Crime Stoppers. You could report what you know, and nobody gotta know it's you.
So how did I avoid?
All you gotta do is call them, or you text them through the Crack Crime Bahamas app, and nobody can know it's you.
Then the police come looking for me for more info, and when they finish with them, Joe them coming looking for me?
When you call Crime Stoppers, the call go directly to Miami, and they don't ask nothing about you. Then you can get the pen from them, and you can claim a reward later using that same pen.
Plus, everything's scrambled, so nobody can read what you're saying.
Call 328-8477 from Nassau or 242-300-8477 from the Family Islands.
We know how important collecting your money can be to the success of your business. Start your relationship with Fidelity today so that we can show you the many options available to you with our merchant services. From click and pay options online to merchant terminals and e-commerce options. We're here to help your business succeed. For more details, speak to one of our business development officers at 356-7764 in Nassau or 352-6676 in Freeport. Visit our website at fidelitygroup.com or visit any of our branches.
It's time for your morning business report brought to you by CFAL. Minister of Economic Affairs Mike Alakitas says the recent and rapid rebound in tourism may give cause for the government to consider concessions for the Airbnb market as the demand for rooms appears to outpace availability. Alakitas said that while Cabinet has not officially explored concessions for the thriving vacation rentals market, recent trends, including recent data showing that there were more than 10,000 Airbnb reservations made in February, point to the need to properly regulate the sector. You can read more of his comments in today's Guardian Business section. Price volatility is making business planning that more difficult for clients of the Access Accelerator Small Business Development Center, according to Executive Director Davinia Bain. She told Guardian Business that well-thought-out use of funds plans are being hit with unexpected costs. According to Bain, some Access Accelerator clients have seen costs triple in some cases after completing their business plans. Continued backing from quasi-government agencies can lead to greater support for financial institutions for Bahamian startups in the tourism sector. That's according to Royal Bank of Canada Area Vice President Leah Carla Adderley, admitting that a lack of strong track records for success for Bahamian businesses in tourism have led to a more conservative lending stance for financial institutions. Adderley, who heads RBC's business banking in the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos, says that RBC remains committed to collaborating with the government to see more business growth in the tourism sector. And Bahamas Wellness Health System, a Bahamian-owned health business, is hoping to earn a hospital designation for its Palmetto Point Eleuthera headquarters by the end of 2022. The company already offers 24-hour emergency room services throughout the week, in addition to urgent care services. Bahamas Wellness President Dr. Arlington Lightburn says that the company now has the tools to offer services on Eleuthera that have never been available before. In a statement, the company says it could become the first privately managed hospital in the Family Islands, excluding Grand Bahama. Overseas, Tesla CEO Elon Musk has taken a 9% stake in Twitter to become its largest stakeholder after raising questions about the social media platform's dedication to free speech. The ultimate aim of Musk's 73.5 million share purchase worth $2.9 billion based on the closing price Friday. Not exactly clear right now, yet in recent weeks, Musk, who has 80 million Twitter followers and posts there often, has questioned free speech on Twitter and whether the platform is undermining democracy. The regulatory filing Monday describes Musk as a long-term investor looking to minimize his buying and selling of the shares. He's also pondered starting a rival social media network, and industry analysts are skeptical about whether the mercurial CEO would remain on the sidelines for long. Twitter's stock surged 20% before the opening bell today. Musk told his more than 80 million followers on Twitter that he was, quote, giving serious thought to creating his own social media platform, and has clashed repeatedly with financial regulators about his use of Twitter. And BMW has halted production at 2 German factories. Mercedes is slowing work at its assembly plants. Volkswagen warning of production stoppages and looking for an alternative source for parts. For more than a year, the global auto industry has struggled with a disastrous shortage of computer chips and other vital parts that have shrunk production, slowed deliveries, and sent prices for new and used cars soaring beyond reach for millions of consumers. Now there's a new factor, Russia's war against Ukraine. It has thrown up yet another obstacle. Critically important electrical wiring made in Ukraine suddenly out of reach. With buyer demand high, materials scarce, and the war causing new disruptions, vehicle prices are expected to head even higher well into next year. The war's damage to the auto industry has emerged first in Europe, but U.S. production will likely suffer eventually as well if Russian exports of metals, from palladium for catalytic converters to nickel for electric vehicle batteries, are cut off. Supply problems have bedeviled automakers since the pandemic erupted 2 years ago, at times shuttering factories and causing vehicle shortages. The robust recovery that followed the recession caused demand for autos to vastly outstrip supply, a mismatch that sent prices for new and used vehicles skyrocketing well beyond overall high inflation. In the United States, the average price of a new vehicle is up 13% in the past year to $45,596. $45,596, according to Edmunds.com. Average used prices have surged as well. They're up 29% to $29,646 as of February. In your Market Watch, recapping trading on the BISX from Friday, your market movers: Consolidated Water up 17 cents, closing at $2.37. Emera Incorporated up 25 cents, closing at $12.29. The BISX All Share Index closing at 2,230.35, up 0.26. Recapping the week, the local market ended the week with 26,050 shares crossing the exchange in 14 trades to accumulate a value of $211,599. The BISX All Share Index gained 1.26 points, or 0.057%, to end the week at 2,230.35. Year to date, the index is up 2.11 points, or 0.095%. The week's volume and value leader, Doctors Hospital, moving 12,900 shares in 9 trades with a value of $131,099. That's your Market Watch. And that is your morning business report, brought to you by CFAL, growing wealth for future generations. And tune in tonight for CFAL Talks right here on Guardian Radio 96.9 at 6:30 p.m. Part 2 of their discussion, Making Tourism Work for the Citizenry. That's tonight again at 6:30 p.m. right here on Guardian Radio 96.9.
Earning zero interest on your savings at the bank? With as little as $100, you can start earning interest on your money while you're sleeping, eating, or standing in line at the bank with the CFAL Savings Express Plan. Ready to invest? Start by putting $1,000 into our mutual funds and earn interest there too. Because at CFAL, your interest is our interest. Visit CFAL.com to start now. CFAL, growing wealth for future generations of Bahamians.
This traffic report is brought to you by Shield Insurance and Prudential Loss Adjusters.
Final moments of our Traffic Watch now. We're proud of certain situations that we see going on across the island. Gladstone Road doing a great job of getting that traffic out of there. Get only minor delays happening at the exit right now. Same thing is happening for Samalapala Highway. We have that assistance from Tony's $1 million again has worked. And so most of them are out of there in enough time during the final moments of our traffic flow. What has resulted from all that, though, is a heavier flow going into the 6-leg roundabout. As the 6-leg roundabout had a real serious rush going on there, coming in from the Sports Center, coming in from JFK West, coming in from New Providence Avenue with the traffic that's coming in from the west. And then they're making it out to those crowded areas like Barrington Road and University Drive. Out west, same thing. Big slow up to get into the roundabout if you're leaving the west. You are riding the brakes into that Saunders Beach roundabout. But once you got past that, then the ride in, slow, but not as hefty, and without the real congestions. Coming out of the south, East Street still a slow ride. Once crossing over Soldier Road, you know you're going to beat the traffic there for a slow ride ahead through the traffic light and eventually through the roundabout at the dual highway intersection. Saw the height of their traffic flow before 9 o'clock this morning. Now that it's simmering down, that's Soldier Road going into the Woe Village and Bernard Road intersection. Because remember, that intersection also has heavy traffic flow that comes in from Bernard Road as well. That helps to slow that area down. And the Eastern Road showing some improvement, still have a heavy traffic flow far back, but as you come into the city, it lightens up, especially after passing Johnson Road. And finally, downtown, the traffic moving through there pretty slow. Once out past Victoria Avenue, then you see it start to ease up and lighten up along East Bay Street. That's my final look at traffic this morning, being brought to you by Dr. Danny Johnson at Foot and Ankle International, who's available to assist with all sorts of foot injuries. They're located atop the hill at Fort Charlotte on Dean's Lane. Call them at 322-5402. That's 322-5402. With your eyes, guy look at traffic in real time at VANN.
Michael was in a horrible car accident. Prudential Loss Adjusters managed his claim and got him the settlement he deserved. Sierra's roof received hurricane damage. Thanks to Prudential, she and her kids are happy with their claim settlement. Tammy fractured her ankle in a slip and fall. Prudential saved her time, money, and peace of mind. Prudential Loss Adjusters are here for you whenever a tragedy strikes. Call 322-4026 now.
Don't wait for disaster to strike. This hurricane season, be ready. Protect your home with an affordable and comprehensive home insurance policy from Shield Insurance. You can't control what nature blows your way, but with Shield Insurance, You can rest easy as you ride out the storm. Protect your largest and most valuable investment. Don't take a chance. Put your home in our hands.
Shield Insurance agents and brokers in Nassau. Call 356-7202 or Freeport 352-5945.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM. Fresh news, smart talk, all day.
We are back here with Morning Blend on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan along with Pamela Musgrove on this Monday morning Blend business here. All right, so you heard that in the business report just now that on top of the chips, right, the semiconductor chips, the problems that we've been seeing for the past 2 years as a result of the shortages, on top of the shipping issues and the cargo and all that nonsense, on top of all of that, now you have to factor in Russia and Ukraine and the fact that those two countries, my goodness, they really were doing everything, the breadbasket of the world and other many parts and
for automobiles.
This is crazy. We're just sitting back and watching this foolishness, and this is impacting us on every level.
All fronts.
This is really, really wild. But hearing those numbers there, folks, this is very scary. Well, what is it? This. Who can afford these things? The average price in the United States, I remember when it used to be 20s of thousand, right? If not in the teens. But the average new vehicle price up 13% to $45,000.
But I think that affects a limited segment of society. There are persons who would buy a brand new car and they would pay that amount because a lot of Bahamians just dealing with the increased duty. Because you remember it used to be 25% for a certain size, and then 45%, or 65%, and then 85%. And then they removed the 25 and just 65 and 85, right?
No, well, it's still in place. So if your vehicle is under, I think it's a certain engine size,
right,
it's still going to be the 25. And if it's 65 for most and up.
So what persons have done that adjusted their buying habits. And so that's why we have a lot of the Japanese smaller cars in our community, because they made that move to counter the increase in duty and also prices. And so that's what's going to continue to happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
You could land one of those cars here for like $2-3 grand.
Although people are saying that's going up too. But definitely there will be no end to this. The only challenge will be the shipping. Getting it here. It used to be 6 weeks on average, but now I'm sure it's a bit longer than that. But especially when you hear that used car prices in the U.S. are up to $29,000 on average. That just is wild.
And persons have also complained about rental car rates that just went up substantially. I mean, for just these economy cars, you're paying top dollars just to rent them.
Yeah.
After the pandemic. So on all fronts.
This is scary.
Costs going up.
But we bring this up again because we know that if you get an electric vehicle or a hybrid in this country, if the car is under $50,000, you are the duty is only 10%. Okay. But again, if the average price is $45,000, you know that means that very few vehicles that are going to be in that price range that are going to be able to get that 10% duty, and we need the government to think about this. That average transaction prices are going up every few years. Or every year, really, and that you need to adjust your duties based on this.
Do you want the government to reduce the duty?
or raise the cap or eliminate it.
Mm-hmm.
We keep talking about it, but raise the cap maybe on hybrids, but eliminate it on electrics.
I think something that incentive needs to be done to encourage people to go to the alternative methods. Particularly our situation with the cost of fuel and electricity bills. I think more needs to be done to show that we are truly looking at alternative sources of energy, and we are encouraging our citizens to do so. And because we are a tropical islands, and I think we should be embracing alternative energy. We should not be doubling down on it. We should be embracing the cheaper form of energy to help our citizenry.
Every time we bring it up, though, people will say, "Oh, they'll never do that. They'll never do that. They'll never do that." I don't know why we do this to ourselves.
I think
putting
because,
that out there.
Yeah, I think it's a reasonable statement to make, because when you look
Which
at
one? That they'll never do that.
that
they
they'll
should
never do
it.
that.
Yeah.
I think it's a reasonable statement people make, because we know they're getting taxes from the use of fuel. And so when you do away with that, they are probably thinking, where else are we going to get this money
Raise
from?
it on the gas guzzlers. There's still a market clearly for them here. The big SUVs, the big trucks, raise the duty for that.
I think that's what they did a few years ago. That's why the duty went up to like 85%
We'll
for
keep
some of
doing
those cars, and so it forced persons to go get the smaller cars at a cheaper rate from Japan.
And it hasn't stopped some people. So raise it for those. And for those who want to conserve, who want to be, who want to use less gas, who want to help the environment,
Duty-free.
reduce or duty-free. Raise the cap from 50 to 60 maybe. I don't know. Or stagger it every few years. We're going to raise it up a bit. Because people who can afford these things.
And given that the market is still developing with electric cars, so you don't have, I don't think you have any used electric cars out there, because it's still so new, or we don't have those over here. So because of that,
Not too
maybe
many.
they need to provide more incentives.
And
for
at the rate
persons.
these are going, it's going to be so expensive. You still might not get it under the cap.
Well, definitely not the name brand ones.
No.
You wouldn't be able to buy those type of vehicles early on. You'd have to
No,
wait
they'll be
until
snapped
the
up.
technology is widespread and the price goes down.
Mm-hmm.
But for those name brand cars, that's going to be steep.
Yeah. All right, so that's going on there. You can tell us what you think about that. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. Are you worried? Are you concerned? Are you concerned that you may never, ever be able to buy a new car at least? Or people just resolve like, hey, clearly new car, not for me.
For some people, that's not an issue, because I hear a lot of persons say they would not buy a new car because of the roads. Like, you go buy a new car and your car would just get damaged. So I think there are lots of persons who are resolved to buying a used car.
Okay. Well, your used car can't take it either. I don't understand what that means. It's right. At least you know what that new car has been through. You don't know what that used car has been through and what that could take. But okay. And how long are we going to continue to use the roads as an excuse for everything?
I guess until they fix it.
Yeah, well, and when is that going to happen? That's. But they are certainly way better than when we were younger. That's the truth. By the way, there's a big giant pothole and it's been there for weeks, even before the Duke and Duchess came. I guess they didn't go on Tawny Clem Starling Highway. No. Just west of A.F. Adderley. And it got me one morning. But it's in such a position that somebody do something, for God's sake. It's westbound just after you pass A.F. Adderley.
And I don't like when they dig up the roads and they don't put cones to at least warn you that there's a patch there. And so you're riding, sometimes going around a bend, and then you either drop in or you risk getting an accident to swerve to avoid it. I think more needs to be done to alert persons when they're doing stuff like that.
Yeah, that's very scary. This text here, 1 year VAT holiday on EVs, electric vehicles. Well, no, I don't like that sound because...
VAT and custom, just zero. Just bring it in free.
See, 1 year, that means what happens after that year?
Don't worry about that.
Then, you got to worry about that.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Then it's 100%? No.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Boy. All right. Really quickly, this story about Airbnb. What do you make of this? Our Paige McCartney writing about it. Minister of Economic Affairs Michael Halkita says the recent and rapid rebound in tourism may give cause for the government to consider concessions for the Airbnb market as the demand for rooms appears to outpace availability. Halkita says that while Cabinet has not officially explored concessions for the thriving vacation rentals market, recent trends, including recent data showing that there are more than 10,000 Airbnb reservations made in February, 10,000 in February alone, point to the need to properly regulate the sector. He says, what? What are you smiling? You're laughing there, Pat?
What's that mean? What does that mean?
Oh, boy.
You get a little scary there.
He says, quote, we have not formally taken up the issue of concessions, but it is definitely something we will have to look at because in recent times, we've had maximum bookings where people have actually had difficulty booking rooms in the Bahamas. So that segment becomes even more important. He was speaking during a recent Royal Bank of Canada webinar on Bahamas tourism diversification. Halkita says, quote, I was in a conversation earlier this week about a potential financial services conference coming here, and one of the concerns expressed was, will we have sufficient rooms? So as this component becomes more integrated into the tourism product, the idea of concessions at an organized effort is something we will have to look at, but truthfully, we have not formally taken that up as yet. As of last month, there were just over 7,000 Airbnb properties listed in the Bahamas with an average daily rate of $450.06. $450.06.
The last information that I'd gotten from the central bank was about 3,600 plus active properties. So it is really increasing. It is good for the economy.
Yeah.
I think the Airbnb market. Now, I do believe that the Ministry of Tourism has to look at standards, the standard level. Because you are in the Bahamas selling your property, you want to make sure that there
Do you
are...
want the Ministry of Tourism to get involved in this?
Well, I think that's the arm. They could have an arm of the Ministry of Tourism, making sure that properties are at a minimum standard because you are selling the Bahamas. And so
shouldn't that be up to the consumer? Like, you see what you get. You look at it, you can see the pictures and like, oh, wow, this is, going to be...
Yeah, but there are complaints about people not getting... I think the Airbnb will step in some of those situations, but I think we need to look at it to make sure this product that we are selling the Bahamas is consistent across the board as much as possible.
Wow. Okay. All right. Folks, tell us what you think about that. 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259. Tweet us, Facebook us, text us, 422-4796. Now, Halkita says that this shows that increased Bahamian ownership in the tourism industry, which through large major hotels has been dominated by foreign ownership for decades. That's a way to look at it, right?
And that's good. That's very good.
Yeah. Well.
No credit to the government. It's just a market that shoes off persons got into it. And they're doing well. And so that's why I get a little scary when they talk about regulations.
But that's generally how it's going to be, right? That people are going to drive any new expansion in any new sector.
Yes.
It won't be the government's heavy-handed intervention.
And that's good. But that's because you have this international company, Airbnb, that's kind of spearheading it. So we don't want the government now to stifle that growth in the name of legislation.
Oh, boy. Some text messages. Someone says here, yeah, Dwight, that pothole got me too. There's another one in the dual carriageway as you enter Seabreeze off Prince Charles. Okay. Yeah. Another one here. Why is the minister responsible for finance speaking to occupancy and availability? Or is the Economic Affairs Minister? He says, let's allow the tourism experts to manage this. We should understand, as it is in other industries, demand for supply drives prices up and increases in revenue. I don't know if I want any ministry involved in this, but I'd rather economic affairs and tourism. But I don't know. But you see it differently, and the texter does too. I guess.
Yeah, well, you can have a division set up to make sure whatever policy that systems you have in place to make sure, like I said, that it's of consistent quality, Dwight. You don't want just sending everybody, selling something and they're not up that stand, because once that word get out, yes, they will talk about that Airbnb, but
if you're only paying $33 a night, I mean, what did you expect?
It can also damage the reputation of the jurisdiction.
Okay.
So I'm not talking about heavy-handed oversight. I'm just saying, sensitizing people to what you expect and what they need to make sure is in place before listing their properties.
Okay, well, that's a show. I think we talk about that. I think if you can go on the site and see that there is something for $300 a night, and look what you get, and then this person's offering $70 a night, and you get what you pay for. But I do hear you. I hear you.
See, these comments are written. For everybody to see.
Yeah. But you think people will say, well, that's the whole Bahamas after reading a negative comment?
I'm saying if you have enough of it.
Yeah.
If you have enough of it.
Okay. All right.
There's a chance.
Yeah.
But I think it's good. The market is good because then us as a nation benefit more. Rather than when you are just solely focused on the hotel, because you eat, you entertain there, and so all of that money stays in the hotel.
Right.
They hire some persons, but the chunk of that money leaves. Whereas with the Airbnb, they can touch the community.
Yeah, absolutely. Pamela Musgrove.
Thanks very much, Dwight.
Always a pleasure.
Have a blessed week, Bahamas.
I'll see you again next week. And I'll be back tomorrow morning with more Morning Blend business and Morning Blend right here on Guardian Radio 96.9. Dwight Strachan, have a great one. Stay tuned for On the Clock with Aaron Green coming up next.